an example, not exactly nostalgia related, but an example that comes to my mind is the game Devil Daggers, where it has this sort of like PS1 sort of Diablo look to it. And I remember when I first saw the game, that instantly attracted me. I'm like, oh, I love PS1 era graphics. I love that sort of like sharp, polygonal, gritty look, you know, and so that got me to look at the game. Plus, I've heard a lot about it, and that got me hooked. And then Devil Daggers gameplay-wise is very innovative, very forward-thinking, just an amazingly well-designed, forward-thinking game. And so I think if you can combine those two together, you can get some real magic happening there, where you kind of pull in the nostalgia for like maybe the aesthetics a bit. You have something that aesthetically looks like, oh yeah, that looks like Sin and Punishment, or that looks like Ocarina of Time. Why not? Like, have something visually, aesthetically that pulls you in, but then the gameplay and the game design has a whole lot more like innovative ideas. And I know developers try to do this, but it often doesn't work because their ideas are usually like, their ideas of innovation is like modernize it. And that's not what I'm talking about. Like, oh, let's add whatever modern stuff they want to add in there, like crafting systems or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like pushing the fundamentals of the genre forward. So I'm trying to think of other games that kind of have that combo. Devil Daggers definitely does. There's some more too. Basically, that is a strength of nostalgia though, is you can use it to get people's attention.
Yeah, and I like what you said. I think that point was made in that podcast by you or someone else about there's value in nostalgia. Like you return to something. Yeah, sometimes you're like, okay, this wasn't great, but maybe it will inspire you. Maybe it'll speak to you again, or you're like, no, this really was something amazing all along. I love those experiences, like or rereading a book.
Oh yeah.
You know, sometimes it's and then like, no, this was even better than I realized.
That's probably what I was talking about.
Again.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and that's always a really cool feeling when you go back to a game because of nostalgia, and then you play it, or a movie or whatever, and you're like, wow, but you're seeing it with like a more matured perspective. And if it's good, it's like the best thing ever, right? You go back and you're like, holy crap, this is actually good. Yeah, an example of that, Resident Evil 4, perfect example. Like, because I have a lot of nostalgia for Resident 4, and then I went back. I've always kind of played it on and off over the years though. But I remember as I learned more about arcade design and hit stun and all these concepts and beat 'em ups and camera systems, and I go back and I'm just like, whoa, like look at how Resi 4 is doing all this so well. It's like all the camera systems, fantastic. All the hit stun, the context sensitivity kicks, those are amazing. So Resi 4 is a game like that all the time where like I often reference it for like design concepts. I'll say, oh, like the context sensitive kicks, these are really good. This is how you do them. So yeah, that's probably what I was talking about. And that's always a great feeling. Did you have an experience like that where there's something you were nostalgic for, then you went back and you found out, whoa, it rules even more than I realized?
Off the top of my head, not so much that, I guess I think more of like books, and it's mostly been a bad experience for me because like as I've grown, like I guess a big thing for me with reading was as I learned to write, became way more critical of books. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. But then I have a greater appreciation as I've grown, returning back or watching an old show that really spoke to me. Like I guess one that comes to mind is The Matrix. The writing is so tight.
Matrix rules.
It's almost too good. So I don't.
It is too good in that they could not make that up. They couldn't follow it up. They're like, yeah, we have no idea. Yeah, you know, Matrix is such a great example. That's another one. Massive nostalgia for it. And then you go back and it's surprisingly elegant. Exactly. You go back and you're like, whoa, this is like, especially compared to the rest of the series. You watch the second one and the third one, then you go back to the first one, you're like, whoa, the first one is so elegant and tightly written and good, you know? So yeah, that's a great example. The Matrix is awesome. And of course, it's so good that it just infects our language. You know, we just reference the Matrix directly or indirectly. The Matrix is now a concept just in general vernacular. It's like, oh, you're in the Matrix. Everyone knows what you mean. Yeah, it's such a,
when you're red pill, like best guy ever.
What's that? Sorry, I missed it.
I said, and when you're just like when you're red pilled, like best guy ever.
Oh, yeah, right. Red pill, blue pill. Yeah, that's another.
And now everything's a pill.
Yes. Now it's sort of mutated. Yeah, it's all kinds of different things. But again, that's such an effective piece of art in terms of like communicating these concepts, right? And like it's an effective way to communicate like freeing your mind or accepting the status quo and not thinking critically because that would be uncomfortable. The red pill, the blue pill. It's such a great visual, metaphorical expression of that concept.
Yeah, you can have a lot of really interesting interpretations as well.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing I thought about, like the kind of a critique of it being so good it causes problems to me, is sometimes it just throws amazing ideas at you constantly, and you're like, whoa, you're trying to process them. Like, here comes another one, or just it moves to the next thing because it's so tight. And what I heard is they just went over that script over and over and over, and I want to say the story for Alien is somewhat similar. Even though they took some inspiration actually from, I think it's called The Voyage of the Space Beagle. That's an old sci-fi story. Do you like to read science fiction, by the way?
A little bit. I mostly read classic literature, and so I have read some like what you'd call like classic science fiction, but I don't read a lot of like contemporary almost anything. Like I said, I can be a real snob sometimes. A few things here and there, but yeah, I mostly read classical literature. But I have read Dune. I love that, and I've read the title always gets me. It's like, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I read that.
Awesome.
I did read the Orson Scott Card stuff when I was younger. I read Ender's Game. And I think another one too. He had another one that I read. And I read some sci-fi stuff here and there over the years. You know what one that I loved when I was a kid? It's kind of been lost. People don't talk about it anymore. Because it was just, it's more of it's more for younger kids, but not like young kids. But surprisingly like dark and twisted at times is this book called House of the Scorpion. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
That one, I think we need to go back and check it out. It's a really cool book. It takes place in this alternate future, but it's not super far in the future, where Mexico is part of the United States, and like cartels are like in government basically. And so like one of the main characters is like a world leader slash cartel leader, and he deals opium. And I won't give away the whole story, but essentially the main character is a clone that is going to be used to, his body parts are going to be harvested. Like that he was born to be harvested for body parts. And I'm like, whoa. And like some of this stuff, you know, you hear about what the cartels are up to. You're like, whoa, this is wild shit. And it was like a book for younger kids.
No, good look.
But, that one I was like, oh wow, we revisit all these properties. Why don't we revisit House of the Scorpion? It's really good.
Well, speaking of revisiting stuff, if you want to kind of plumb the genre a little more, I highly recommend anyone who's also interested in that is to check out Book Pilled on YouTube. He's mainly reads like old science fiction, but he, like a lot of YouTubers, like they say the same 10, 15 books over and over, and you know, some of them are great, like you mentioned many of them. But he's really discovered a lot of old classics that are like totally forgotten.
That's cool. That's cool.
And
I always want to find those, but you know, they're actually surprisingly really hard to find. Like there's some like obscure classics. I was like, oh, I want to go find this. You're hunted. You are hunted to find some of these things. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Or paying a ton of money.
Yeah, or paying a ton of money. Yeah. Especially if they're out of print and then they're not like, there's no like ebook version. You're like, oh, jeez. You know what the worst one is though? Is literary criticism is insane. It is so hard to get a hold of literary criticism. You have to basically go to a college.
I forgot that the nicest terrible ones here.
Oh, I didn't consider that. It's the closest thing I've seen. That's like some people, they'll find those old anthology stories and like they'll have some commentary. But yeah, that's even harder to get your hands on. I wonder how much of that has been lost.
It's not lost so much as like gate kept, because it's like you can get it if you want to spend $1,000 or whatever they want to charge you. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like the average book of literary criticism is like hundreds of dollars. It's crazy, you know, because it's all in the world of academia or whatever. So like the only way, like the way, for example, I actually get quite a bit of inspiration sometimes from reading literary criticism, and so I wanted to read some literary criticism on F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I'm a grown up now. I'm not in college anymore. I've done enough college. But I was like trying to go to the public library. They don't have it. You can't get it online. Either because no one cares, or it's locked behind, you know, those like academic sites, and you have to spend hundreds of dollars or whatever. So my only strat was I would go to a local college and pretend to be a student. You can't check the book out, but you can like take the book off the shelf and then sit on the couch. So one day I went to the college, got the book off the shelf, and just sat on the couch for like 6 hours and read literary critique of The Great Gatsby, and then put it back and left. So that stuff's really hard to get.
So if we lived in a perfect world, what is your modern game manifesto? How would you fix things? What would we do? What would your ideal game look like?
I think Devil Daggers is one of the best modern games, because not only is it tapping into a lot of the strengths of modern gaming, because modern gaming has strengths, but it's also really bringing out the strengths of the arcade era together. That's what I'd want to see. And I know some games attempt to do this with varying degrees of success, but it's really that simple. I would love to see
that's so toxic that you can hit me like that.
Strengths and fundamentals of classic gaming, and then meshing them into the strengths of modern gaming to create something really cool and robust. So the strengths of modern gaming are online connectivity. That's huge. Online leaderboards, replay systems, just like the technological things you can do in modern gaming. I also really like modern gaming's accessibility features, not difficulty, to be clear. Not this whole concept that low difficulty is accessibility. I don't think it is. But like visual stuff, like, oh, you can like high, you know, like colorblind modes or high contrast modes. Because I kind of have so sometimes when I play like Battle Garega, like I can't see the bullets super well. So like modern games have sort of these cool, like, you know how with modern games you can kind of tweak the games a little bit and like play with them a little bit. You can of course like refine your controls. You know, that's my favorite thing about modern games is you can kind of play with them a little. You can try different things with the settings and stuff. Like my favorite thing in modern games is when you open the options menu and you're like, what's in here? And you go look through and see and you find cool stuff in the options menus. So just combining those together. The best examples of this, I've talked about a lot on the channel, but the M2 ports are just the best examples of this. Their port of Battle Garega, their port of Ketsui, their work is like a perfect example of what this looks like, where you have online leaderboards, you have like modes, you have achievement stuff. I love all of that stuff. And so if you can combine together those two factors, I think it makes really cool stuff. It's just no one really bothers to do it or is motivated to do it that much.
And that's really how it should be, right? We should be iterative. We should take from the past, like, okay, but now we can do this, or that was good, let's take it further. And it seems like we just always lose stuff. And that's one thing I love about seeking out older art, I guess, really in anything. I remember just reading 1984 and thinking, oh, a lot of dystopias is just a crappy version of this. And you start realizing just how much, like, we're retelling stuff in just worse versions. And then some people, they do something interesting. Like maybe The Matrix, we could say, you know, one of the most interesting dystopias. And
absolutely.
Yeah, like that should be the natural thing, but if we don't know the history, we're greatly limited. And I guess that's where your channel is very valuable, reminding us of that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my goals, is to point out the strengths of of like games of the past, because there's a real big dismissal of a lot of classic game design just outright, of like, oh, that's outdated, that's quarter munching, you know, that sort of stuff. I'm like, and there's also a lot of concepts that classic games and arcade games developed that modern players don't even know exist. Like one of my favorite ones is this concept called rank, and what it is in the arcade, they need to do two things that's very important. The arcade needs to cater to players for the first time, because people will play the cabinet for the first time. But the arcade also needs to really pay attention to the guy who's played the game 6,000 times. And the reason why is, like, unlike our current version of gaming, in the arcade, a replay is just as valuable as an initial play. They are equal to each other. So if you go up and you throw a quarter in Ketsui for the first time, that playthrough is as, in money, much just pure money-wise, is equal to the guy who throws in a quarter playing Ketsui for the 600th time. Both plays are equally viable economically. And so what that caused is that developers had to really think, like, how do we get this guy to put 8,000 quarters in the machine? And they're like, Virtua Fighter 5 has some insane play counts. It's like, you've spent $10,000 on this game. The salary via 5 plays is crazy. But so that's the part of arcades where they actually have to really think about replayability, because replayability is economically the most valuable thing about a game in the arcade, which is very different than a console game. It's like flipped. In the arcade, a game that you only play once is garbage. Arcade owners do not want to invest in that. Because they have to recoup their cost. They have to spend, let's say, $1,000 on your arcade PCB. They need to get that $1,000 back. And so that they either need 1,000, or, you know, I'm not doing the math super well, but you know what I mean. They either need a mass volume of new customers, which is hard to get, or they just need that machine to be so good that 15 guys over the course of years, or however long, and in the boom of the arcades, people really spent money, keep putting quarters in that machine. And so what that created all these concepts in game design that we've lost. One of them being rank, which is a dynamic difficulty that gets harder the better you play. It's rewarding you with difficulty. That's a flip of how we talk about difficulty now. We talk about difficulty as punishment. But actually, difficulty is a reward. You earn difficulty. Like, you want difficulty as the player, because difficulty is content. Difficulty is the game. So that's one thing that arcades really developed that I think modern games should
Are you still running at me?
take a look at. So the problem that we run into with games today is that structure of the arcade, of that economic model, no longer exists. And so what ends up happening is developers now have to tackle this question of, what is the point of replayability? Because we buy our games up front now, right? So if you buy a game up front, do you need to replay it? In the developer's mind, you don't necessarily need to. Like, if I buy Devil May Cry 5 and play through it one time, to the developer, that doesn't matter. They got my, you know, full-priced game. But, so what developers have tried to do is they've tried ways to make games monetizable through replayability. And I think it's always a mess. It's always a disaster every time they try to do this with, like, microtransactions or DLC or all this sort of stuff. DLC's not so bad, but I think what ironically ends up happening is that as critics and players, we just have to sort of convince the general gaming populace that it's worth buying full-price games based off of replayability. That's kind of the only direction I can see happening, is let's say a new game comes out, like Devil Daggers or something, and its playthroughs are like 30 to 40 minutes long. But it has a ton of depth.
Oh, come on, I could have made that.
The players, like, hey, even the first playthrough isn't it. Like, you're not getting the game on that first playthrough, so don't buy it off that premise, or refuse to buy it off that premise. Instead, we really need to communicate to you that the depth comes from the replayability. So I think that's a real challenge that we have these days in terms of how games are sold and bought. With rank, the more skilled you are as a player, the more you perform well, the higher your score is, the higher the game's difficulty becomes. And it's dynamic. It happens as you're playing. That is such a cool gameplay concept that would be so good to put into modern games. And developers have kind of, I think Sony patented this concept. I'm not kidding. Like, theoretically, there's some sort of, like, patent out there where Sony has some sort of, maybe someday we'll put rank into our games or something, but no one's really doing it right now in a really cool way, like the arcades did. But I think once a modern game does that, it's going to blow people's minds. It will take a while. Someone's got to do it. But
my strafe was bad, so the gap I tried to strafe for it.
The less you're dying, the game, you know, Resi 4 has this, by the way. Resi 4 has, like, a little bit of rank where the less you die, the harder the game gets. It caps out, though. It doesn't go crazy like arcade games do, but Resi 4 has a little bit of rank. But so does God Hand. God Hand actually has a rank bar, which is really good. God Hand, again, very arcade-centric. So God Hand, basically. That's one thing, like, people are like, whoa, this is crazy. That's where it comes from. It comes from arcade games. God Hand's rank system comes from that. So we need a God Hand 2. We need a God Hand 2 that does rank and has great graphics, and everyone will be like, this is insane. This is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and that would be combining the best of the old and new.
Yeah. And
the rank system, I want to say Left 4 Dead is something similar with the director. But yeah, that seems like an obvious solution to dynamic difficulty, so that we're not turning new players away, but then...
Oh,
you know why
I ran out of sprint.
They don't do it because our view of difficulty is inverted. That's why we don't do it. Because devs really believe that difficulty is punishment. That's why they don't do it. Because I've talked to devs about this. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, that's backwards. Because the way it should work is the better you play, the easier the game gets. Because we view difficulty as a punishment, not a reward. So what it creates is this garbage system where the best players in the world just sleepwalk through the game because the game gets easier the better you get. I'm sure you've even noticed.
Yeah, that's why I don't like upgrades. I think upgrades are the biggest nonsense ever. I started realizing, you know, I'm playing these games, a lot of RPGs, you know, you get a bunch of gold, you buy better shit, and if you better at managing your money, you get better shit. But I just realized that that's not a reward, that's actually...
See, I always found something like that a massive disappointment.
Fucking fat fuck, can't even run. Fat. Dempsey really needs to lose. He definitely needs to lose some kg, because holy shit, this guy's fat as fuck. Especially on BO2, even though that guy's not even in the game. On most maps, on every single one but one. Apart from actually, no, he's on the classic maps. Resurrection DLC that never came out.
But I would try to explain my side of it, sure.
Well,
why am I on a chair?
Best guy ever. Nate Bestman.
Let's get it. Oh, I'll definitely debate Nate. Let's go.
I think it would be interesting, and also maybe to have a lighthearted one instead of the opposite of like people being angry and screaming at each other.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun to talk
this
about.
Idea of them floating around.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think y'all two are very good at articulating your thoughts and you're quick off the top of your head. I think it might be very interesting. I might follow up, send you a message about that. I think y'all would really do something great there.
I'd be fun for me. Yeah, I'd have fun. I know Nate pretty well, so that'd be really fun.
Okay. You think that's something he'd be interested in? I
have no idea. I don't know. He's like, I don't need to be Mark. Jeez. I come in with like this fucking book. I'm like, let's go.
Fucking serious?
Yeah.
No, I was meant to go.
I think wrap it up there. And cover everything you had on mind in the outline, but man, so much great stuff. I'm excited to listen back to this myself.
Yeah.
And think about it, and I hope people will go subscribe to your channel. Anyone who's will be stumbling upon across this in the future. And thanks so much for letting me talk to you. I also just wanted to have a conversation with you and pick your brain. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a fun interview. Great questions and a great area of discussion. Yeah, great stuff. It was an awesome time.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
See you, everyone.
Take care, my man.
I should have just stayed there. I should have cut back, but I didn't know they was still spawning. Spawn rate is fucking whack.
To just this terrible drop-off in quality. I mean, it was shocking. Shocking when 14 was announced. I thought it was a joke or a mobile port. I'm like, oh, it's a mobile game. Let's not worry about it. No. I remember. I know that King of Fighters players are probably sick of hearing this because, from what I understand, the gameplay holds up pretty well. But those graphics, I mean, they've got to figure something out there. I don't think that because we have the metrics here, the sales of that game compared to everyone else, even Melty Blood, which I assumed would have extremely low sales, I was actually able to see it's about 500,000, 400,000. But KOF 15 isn't even on the charts because the sales are so low. So that game is just really struggling, I think. And then the active player base, it's just I feel bad for the KOF players, honestly. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Sympathy.
So the graphics are one thing for sure, right? I mean, I remember in the build-up to KOF 14, people would randomly Photoshop Andy from KOF 14 onto the covers of like Tekken 3 or Virtua Fighter 2, and like I would be like, why does this game cover have 50,000 retweets? And then I look close and be like, oh, you got me. There he is.
That's funny.
But I think honestly, and that is a problem. I am definitely not the type of person who's going to say I play the game if it was hitboxes. Like, no, I don't agree with that. But I actually think the bigger problem with KOF 15 is that the online experience is just not good. The matchmaking is broke. The matchmaking doesn't work. You set it to 3 bars and above, and it'll match you with a 1 bar. You know, it's just, and then the netcode, like, it is rollback, but it's not, and I haven't done a deep test on this, and maybe at some point I will, because I do have the ability to do that, but the rollback netcode, when it works, is, I guess, good enough, but the problem is there's a lot of connections that just don't work well with that game. And the reason I bring this up is because what this basically means in the modern landscape is that the people who are playing King of Fighters 15 still are mostly going to local events. They're mostly still playing in person and not online. And obviously, you know, this year, probably not as big of a problem as it was in the past 2 years prior, or 3, 2 and some change years prior. But
I just had a crazy idea. I wonder, this is a theory. Do you think it's possible that a lot of these players are playing 2002 on 5K to practice, and then they're like, okay, let's try to translate as much of this possible into 15, or are they just too different to make that work?
I mean, they're definitely, 15 is more in line with the, what they call the Dream Match style KOF, so it's closer to like 98 or 02 than the more oddball entries in the series. So if you're just a good KOF player, you could stay sharp enough playing an older game, I suppose, yeah.
That would be my strategy, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
you'd have to do your locals. Like I said, you'd have to go to your locals and play 15. But then when you're at home doing net play, you're like, I guess I'm playing 2002 on Fightcade to get the net play matches, maybe.
Or if you have a local scene, you can play online, you know, just in short bursts. You know, that could work too.
Yeah.
But again, this all hinges upon having a local scene to play the game with. Because if you don't have that, I just don't think the online experience is good enough to allow for people to actually play and appreciate the game like that online.
Yeah. Yeah, so why do you think it did get in? That's a genuine question mark for me, because I don't get the feeling that SNK probably have that much cash to throw around to get it in there. Maybe they do.
Well, they did get bought by a Saudi prince not too long ago, if you can recall.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they were still a Chinese company.
Oh, no. They are
Okay, tell me about this.
fully owned by a Saudi prince. So they might just have that much money.
Well,
But
tell him, someone message him. Hey, buddy, let's get these graphics going. You know, use some of that oil money. Let's get some graphics up in here.
I think that could be one reason they got in, is that they did just have the money to get it on the roster.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, maybe someone who works on Evo staff has a better pulse in the community than I do, and they were like, hey, there's actually quite a few people who still play this game and are really interested in it. Maybe they look at the entrance of other major tournaments like Combo Breaker or whatever.
Like how the sound was so delayed though.
Keep this game on the roster. So it could be either or. It could be organic or inorganic. But either way, it's there. And
I just can't.
wouldn't luck have it. 666 entrants
I
on the
know.
spot.
Mark,
For King of
please.
Fighters.
This game has such bad luck.
Really.
But I also wonder too. There's all these KOF 2002 players. I know because I see them on Fightcade all the time. They're just in Fightcade battling each other. I mean, last I checked, it is the most popular game on Fightcade almost all the time. It's like
pretty much
popping in there. So I could see these people. They're spending all this time playing 2002. You know, there's not a lot of scene for that. There's not a matches. No, you know, it's all game, no developer support. So I could see them being like, okay, we play 2002 in the streets, and then at business we have to play 15. And that's kind of what is keeping 15 alive, is the ghost of 2002 supplementing it. That would be my theory as to what maybe might keep 15 going.
It holds some water, only because, again, 15 is definitely rooted in the older style, or more coveted style, I should say, of KOF games. Yeah, it's possible. You could be just a solid 98 or 02 player, as long as you know your confirms in 15, which are definitely pretty different from either of those games. But yeah, if you have those down, it's feasible. I mean, it's. I'm not saying. I can't say you're right, and I also can't say you're wrong. But I can say that, you know, there is some merit.
Yeah, you can tell me I'm wrong. I'm just spitballing ideas.
I don't know. I legitimately don't know, honestly.
So
the one thing I will say.
What is Fightcade? Just a quick answer to his question. Fightcade is an emulator that uses rollback netcode.
Fightcade, what is that? Fightcade 2?
GGPOs. What was the original? What's it called? GGPO, right?
It was just called GGPO.
Yeah. So it's like basically the home of rollback netcode in a lot of people's minds, and it's almost like a console at times, because you're like, oh, when is Tekken 3 going to be in Fightcade? Oh, when is Dead or Alive 2 going to be in Fightcade? Which they are. It's pretty sweet. So it's an emulator that has rollback netcode, and you can actually use it for beat 'em ups too, which is really cool. And it has really good rollback and pretty sweet matchmaking and stuff. It's awesome. So it's an emulator that does really good rollback netcode in some.
Yeah, it's actually, so they do have multiple emulators as part of Fightcade.
Right. It's like RetroArch. It's got like a bunch of. It's like a bundle of emulators. Yeah.
So
Wow.
what they use right now
They just don't hit you that common move.
That's what they use for Naomi and Dreamcast, which it's a bit of a contentious choice, honestly, but Flightcast does seem to be on the right path, so I'll hold out for it.
I played Dead or Alive 2 on Flycast on GGPO. It was on Fightcade. It's not amazing, but it got the job done. I'll say that.
That's kind of the consensus right now. But for the more like demanding games like CVS 2 and Marvel 2 especially, like people have tried it and they've all said no, this isn't cutting it right. So unfortunately, it's not quite at that point of like being close or even in the realm of offline parity for those games. I think there is
stuff is amazing.
It's pretty good now.
Did you know you can actually use run ahead in it with rollback?
Yep.
So you
I use run ahead too.
Some serious. I think it's amazing for the FB Neo games. I was playing with Boghog. We're playing Sailor Moon co-op beat 'em up. He's in Latvia, and it was playable. That was amazing.
Yeah. They did add Duck Station, I think, recently.
Oh!
Yes.
I haven't actually tried that yet, so I can't really.
Yeah, started.
How are you not dead?
No, not a problem. I don't even.
Bros keep dead.
15. We're talking about game selection, and let's lead into our next topic.
Windows boarded.
Jump ahead to
Double insta.
on my mind the past Evo and 2, which is the decline of the 3D fighter and the lack of 3D fighter representation at tournaments, like generally, especially Evo though. You know, I'm a big 3D guy, and in fact, the other day I was telling Boghog, he was talking to me about some fighting game or something. Maybe it was Multi-Blood, and I said, you know, right now I'm in kind of a headspace where I don't really even have a whole lot of interest in 2D games, at least playing them personally anymore. Like, I'm all about 3D right now. So for me, I would love to see more 3D games get more representation and more competitive play, because I feel like the will is there. The will to play these games competitively is there. It's just the outlet is a little bit difficult. So yeah, I'm sad. I was really sad when they canceled Dead or Alive. I was all excited about Dead or Alive 6 being there, and then Core Values it got canceled.
That's a moment that will never be lived in.
Oh my god, amazing. The irony too, the beautiful irony. Poor Dead or Alive.
I don't know if I'd call it beautiful irony, but there's definitely irony.
The more painful the irony, yeah, there's something beautiful about it too. In a painful, dark sense of humor.
Am I gonna buy ammo?
But also too, I watched it. I was there. I watched that. I'm a Dead or Alive fan. I watched the Dead or Alive stream where they got canceled. I was like, what? The booth girls are just having fun. You know, what's the big deal? They're just booth girls having fun. So
one of them ended up marrying a
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's like a fighting gameplay stream, dude. You go to a tournament and you actually get a girlfriend that's one of the booth girls. So,
but no, this topic actually, it kind of hits close to home for me, because the first fighting game I ever really learned was Virtua Fighter, actually. It was vanilla VF5, really. That was the one, because that's when I was like, because I was pretty young at the time. I was still a minor. I was like 16 or 17. But you know, that game had just come out on 360. Kind of its own subject. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but like,
We can talk about VF all day.
Fucking wall!
not so much VF, but it's
Jesus!
It's a background stream. It's VF5 in the background.
oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's the top Vanessa player. I took one of his live stream matches, and yeah, it's in blue and it's in the background. But yeah, what is in the background is VF5.
Interesting. Basically, there was a bit of a pre-SF4 ecosystem for fighting games, and surprisingly, one of the biggest pieces of it, not the biggest by far, but one of the biggest pieces of it, actually was Virtua Fighter 5, because I believe, with the only exception being the 360 port of Hyper Fighting, which came out in 2007, a couple months before VF5 did, it was the only fighting game you could play online on the Xbox 360 for a good while there.
Yeah, I think another one was Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive was one of the earliest ones too.
I honestly
On
can't
the OG
remember
Xbox. On the OG Xbox.
Oh, that's Dead or Alive 3. That one didn't have online play. It came out early for that.
Wasn't
I
it?
actually...
No, Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate.
Oh, okay, so
Okay, yes,
On the
yes.
Xbox.
is BO2 the only game without hit stun? Because even this game has hit stun or zombie stun.
It does.
Okay. So, I guess there were 3 fighting games you could play online on the 360 at that
Dead or
point. Hey, I actually did play some Dead or Alive 5 when it came out in arcades in Japan. I actually did give it a fair shake, and I actually ended up enjoying the game more than I thought I would. I'll say on record, it's a better game.
Whoa,
than
what?
I would give it credit for. I will say
I
that.
think so too. I'm a big
Yeah.
Ninja guy. I feel like if you're a VF fan, it's like you can tell it's kind of like a more playful entry level VF with holds and stuff. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
The
got-
holds are like the best and worst thing about the game. Is the problem is that it's an additional
I love
dimension.
I love them
They're
so
so
much.
they're so hard to balance though. That's the problem. Is then you get the counter hit throw
Well,
state
you're
and
playing
things
Dead or
like
Alive
that.
4, which had some absurd. Oh no, you're playing 5 never.
I was playing
4 had
five,
some
okay.
insane hold tech in that
What the
game.
fuck is happening?
Holds were so good.
Yeah,
But you can kind of make a metagame around how crazy the holds are. You know?
you absolutely can. The thing about 3D fighters, as I see it, is that Sega was, and I think if you talk with most people who were playing any 3D fighter back then, I think they'll pretty much agree, regardless of whether or not they even like Virtua Fighter.
Fucking square bracket.
Trendsetter in terms of,
Damn it.
you know, mechanical design and genre. I mean, people talk about bounds.
This is too difficult for me.
Virtua Fighter, believe it or not, it was actually the first game to have it.
Hangouts.
So,
I need to change my hold up.
yeah, I mean everything basically, really, for the most part.
And it's
I mean,
so interesting. If you read developer interviews for fighting games, it is insane how much they reference Virtua Fighter. Like it's like the fighting game player series, because all the developers like, yeah, we got this idea for Virtua Fighter. Even Smash Brothers talks about, we got the idea of slopes and ring outs, you know, and all this stuff from Virtua Fighter. Even freaking Smash Brothers is influenced by Virtua Fighter. It's crazy.
honestly, I think that's more of just a game developer thing in general. I've kind of had a theory for a while now. It's like most people's favorite game developer isn't Sega, but most game developers' favorite game developer is Sega. I've noticed.
Because they're the coolest.
I mean, they do a lot of things first, for better or
I made
worse.
a tier list of the 5 coolest developers in Sega one, because they're the coolest because the stuff they did was not only groundbreaking design-wise, but like their business decisions were so like just homey. You know, we're sitting in a boardroom smoking cigarettes. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we did this, dude? All right, you know, it's like not financially savvy at all.
No,
But it was cool.
it was very cool. But
Go ahead, yes.
without a
I'm gonna try running here
without a
instead.
trailblazer, excuse me, to follow
Never mind.
3D fighters, I think, have been kind of
Don't like that spot.
yeah.
Don't like how the nades work over there. Not used to it.
For a reason. So, Tekken games in particular, right, are generally really bad at launch. And what I mean by launch, I mean the arcade versions.
The
of the
arcade
game.
versions, yeah.
Yes, they are generally poor. Tekken 5 honestly was pretty bad when it came out. Now
Infinite
Tekken
and all
6,
that fun stuff.
Tekken 6 was the first one I played in arcades, like when it was new and relevant, and that game was inexcusably bad.
The Tekken that I played on launch, but I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was bad or not because I don't think it ever recovered, was Tekken 4. I played, man, I loved it. I don't care what Tekken players say, I love that game.
And not even Tekken players, man. There's actually a lot of people I've met over the years in through fighting games who straight up tell me, they go, yeah, I used to play Tekken, but Tekken 4 came out and that came to an end, so then I started playing Street Fighter or Guilty Gear or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I
Like,
loved Tekken 4, but like I said, I didn't play it back. I had no idea about backdash cancels. So for me, I was like, this is sick. You know, if you don't know about backdash cancels, Tekken 4 is awesome.
Yeah.
At least at the time.
But as far as just 3D games go, it's like, yeah, so the first versions of Tekken games tend to be pretty bad, right? But then by the time they have a couple revisions out, and in the case of 6 and 7 at least, that's the only version that hits console, right? Is the version that's had
The revision,
a few, So the reason I bring this up is because with Virtua Fighter in particular, that wasn't really always the case. But if you notice, the releases between Tekken and VF games, when they were still being made, VF games, are kind of offset, right? Like, VF4 came out in 2001, I believe, and then Tekken 4 came out, like, I think later that year or a year later. And then VF4 went through its revisions, and I think Tekken 5 Vanilla came out during that period of time, where VF4 was being revised. And then Tekken 5 came out, or rather Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, the good version that every Tekken player loves, came out, I think, a couple years after that. I think it was 2004 or 5. So, and I'm not saying straight up that Tekken just takes things from VF, because like it has its own flavor, it has its own things. Tekken 5 especially is a very unique game, if you ever give it a shot. It's
Oh, I love Tekken 5. Yeah.
even coming from Tekken 6 or 7, I think there's enough meaningful differences that like it's actually really worth revisiting Dark
Why are
Resurrection.
you still?
Air juggles. skills.
Die!
Juggle them in the air. Shorter combos, faster movement. To me,
Oh, you out.
that's just me personally. I'm not an expert, but
Honestly, I remember the biggest thing people preferred about Dark Resurrection over the revised version of 6 at the time is that the ground roll was more of a commitment. You couldn't block out of a ground roll right away the way you can in 6.
yeah,
Ah, you ooh.
just hold that, baby.
Yeah.
No ammo.
I do think without the competition, and I do think without, frankly, the trendsetter in the genre, you know, really setting the standard of what can be done and what these games can be, they're just kind of lost at sea.
I think that absolutely, and that definitely rings home to me over the past few weeks where I've been playing VF5, and I've just been playing it, and you know, it's an ancient game, you know, these days, but you kind of are like, this game is so much more pure. If you play Tekken 7 and then you play VF5, there's no meters, there's no rage, it's just so much more pure, and it's so frame data heavy, and then it's just such a, yeah, it's just on such a different level. Where I feel like what happened with Tekken is they saw the bodies of all the 3D games around them, and they're like, we're not going down that road. And then they looked at Street Fighter, they're like, ah, that is the road. Because you can see Tekken with 7, and then with 8, you can see them shifting much more towards the 2D side. And they're like the only 3D game still standing, so even within Tekken, we're losing that purity of the 3D design, I think.
Right, and that's the thing, is like, I feel like no matter how you look at it, Tekken is absolutely going in a, I guess, by default, a unique direction, right? I mean, yes, that, but I think even more so than that, you can chart it back to before they started putting Akuma and Geese in the game, but Tekken has just been kind of trying to figure out how to make the core Tekken formula more palatable to people who
play 2D games.
Yeah, pretty much. And with, you know, the funny thing too is that VF5 in Japan, in the arcade community over there, is kind of seen as VF's attempt at doing it.
I can see that.
Yeah, and honestly, the game actually didn't perform that well, especially compared to VF4, because VF4 was like the biggest fighting game opener for a while.
That was
really
my
big.
first Virtua Fighter was VF4.
Yeah, well, I played VF4 like as a kid, but like as far as like actually traveling around.
I'm counting that.
Okay, I mean, if you count that, I played VF2, but you know.
What it was is, so I had this whole period of college years where I didn't play any video games other than Metal Gear.
Ah,
Over and over. And then
come on!
With a PlayStation 2.
Just blew myself up. Woe to Warnades are terrible.
Video store, and I'm gonna buy a PS2 game, and I'm gonna bring it home and I'm gonna play it. I walk in, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, $2, baby. I'm like, $2? Now we're talking. And so VF4 was kind of one of those games that helped me reconnect with gaming just generally, because yeah. So but I wasn't playing it competitively, but the quest mode was super good.
Yep.
And it had that nice hardcore feel.
Oh.
To actually learn the game and remember.
It was responsive. There wasn't very much input lag.
Yes.
It had an in-game tutorial.
I did play it in my college years.
I need to put a long sleeve Sean. Holy shit. Just blew myself up again.
Game, and I treat it like it's something special for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah.
But the in-game tutorial that VF, and it wasn't even just Evo, even vanilla VF4 had it. It really went in depth. It really taught you a lot about the game. And this is kind of its own subject. I don't want to go too far into this one. I think we're already 2 or 3 tangents removed right now. But the tutorial in VF4 was great, but what did that actually do for the game?
Oh, absolutely nothing.
And that's the problem, is that when you talk about ways to get people into these games, one of the things you'll hear, usually from people who, you know, have been drinking the fight.
Why the fucking AIDS? Shimon!
I jump in and I say, hey, that's been done before, and you were probably playing fighting games actually when it was done.
Fuck out my way.
So tutorials are not it.
You know
That's really it.
What was one of the best critiques of Virtua Fighter that I ever heard that they finally listened to 15 years later, which was way back in 2010. Eris did a podcast and he was talking about Virtua Fighter and he was complaining about the aesthetics of Virtua Fighter. And one of the things that I think was a big mistake in Virtua Fighter is the lack of hit sparks and the lack of animations on hit and block. Like, they went too realism. They went too far that way, so that when you're playing the game, like, go back and play Street Fighter or Virtua Fighter on 360 or play Virtua Fighter 4. Like, nothing feels impactful compared to, I think, the newer port where they finally added in hit sparks and stuff. I think that type of stuff really goes a long way for bringing new people in versus tutorials. Like, the visual presentation of the game, not just graphics. It looks good graphics, but like the actual aesthetic of, like, when you hit something, sparks fly out. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think too, in kind of a more broad sense, I think fighting games need to get better at presenting the essence of these games visually to players. But what I was gonna get at, and to kind of tie this back into talking about Evo, is marketing. Marketing, knowing your target audience, hitting that
The
target
fuck
audience.
out my way,
More than
bitch.
just about anything else. Quality.
Fighters.
Yeah, and you know.
We're making out around 11 today.
Because the Dragon Ball Fighters community is obviously not small by fighting game standards, but it's very like insular, yeah, I'd say. Like, a lot of people that play Dragon Ball Fighters only play Dragon Ball.
Well,
Don't
it
even
makes
bother with
sense
other
to me
fighting
a little bit because there was kind of a legacy of fighting games no one takes them seriously. But for example, like the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, I love those games. I played those just as much as like legit fighting games, I'm afraid to say, on record here. But like Dragon Ball Z Budokai, Budokai 2, and all that, I played the crap out of those games, and I actually learned them to some degree. They have kind of a funny janky
Get the fuck out of my way.
DBZ fighters. So I think that could be part of the crowd. They're like these forgotten, you know, ultra scrubs, but that could be part of the crowd of that game, or these guys who oh, some of these mechanics
Ah,
in
no regen.
Well, as I
This
see
is tough.
someone who actually did pay a good amount of attention to the game up to its release, it was both a failure and success of marketing. So they were really trying to market this game towards existing Arxis players, so people who played Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear or whatever, Marvel players, because that game still had a pretty decent following, and I can't wait to talk about Marvel later. I have a lot to say about that actually.
Good.
But on top of that too, and people were it was kind of a meme in the community of, oh, you know, Dragon Ball FighterZ will be the game to unite the whole FGC, right? It doesn't matter if you come from right, but obviously it ended up being
Hit me again. Oh, you know, hit me again.
it didn't really hit the mark for a lot of those groups of people. I mean, I can't think of one person that I know personally who plays Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear or any of those games that also plays Dragon Ball FighterZ. I can't name one. I honestly don't know one person that actually plays that game personally. I don't know one person. But
Well, I
what
know
I can
people
say,
personally who played it, but they actually did not come from, they didn't come from the anime scene. They came from other places, so yeah.
right? What I can say is, like, a couple years ago when I first moved down here to SoCal, I went
Still
to
spawning?
venues that had Dragon Ball FighterZ there, and like I was just, you know, being social, was talking to people, and I was standing over by a 4-star station. I said, "Oh, is that Blaze Blue?" And I was like, "Well, kinda." But the thing is, you know,
close.
that's the level of engagement that they have with other communities, right? Is that, you know, it's not that I don't want to
But
make
this is
judgments on
kind
a
of feed
huge
into my
swath of
theory a
people.
little bit. My theory a little bit that this could be tapping into that scene I was talking about. Those Budokai players who
It could be.
don't even know what the hell anime games are, other than
Right.
Dragon Ball Z, the anime, and
Right.
those Namco games. Yeah.
But what I was getting at is that, you know, the intended target audience for the game, which was basically, I think honestly, Arxis and Namco, because I think they published the game, I think they were betting on that game being a very big success
And it was.
in terms of the community. And it
Oh.
was, but not really.
Why is my movement so bad?
As far as
Doesn't somebody just bounce? Oh, wow.
Dragon Ball Z Fighters, 10 million sold, 10 million, and then Strive up to this point, 1 million. So Arxis and Namco are looking at Fighters, and they're like, nailed it, 10 million sold. Good God, that's a lot of money. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, that's pretty much all I had to say on the subject was that, you know, having a target audience most of the time, as long as you know how to reach them, I think that's the biggest indicator and the most effective way to reach your goal as a publisher or developer.
What do you think the target audience for Virtua Fighter and like Dead or Alive and Soul Calibur? Who would that be? Because I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
At this point, people above the age of 30, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, what else?
You gotta get those guys who like stream chess matches or something. You know, you gotta get those types, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. If you want to talk more about the 3D fighter thing, so I played a lot of Gundam Versus back in the day, which is a 2-on-2 mech fighter. It was actually a Capcom series originally, and then it was handed off to Namco with Extreme Versus in 2010 or 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, so Capcom.
I need to get used to the buffing, because that was inexcusable.
It was called Mobile Suit Gundam Versus something, or no, it's Federation Versus Sion. That's what it was called. And that game came out in like 2001. And to be honest with you, if you look at that game, that doesn't really look very much like a fighting game. It looks more like a mech simulator type of game.
Yeah.
Over the iterations that they released, though, and they did release a lot. Capcom themselves released a lot. But of course, these games were, I believe, if not entirely, mostly Japan exclusive. But it was with the first game titled Gundam Versus Gundam, which was basically a culmination of all the games they made up to that point. In 2007, I believe, that was the one that really took off and became like a huge, I mean, to the point where even on the Arcadia charts, after a while, they said, look, we all know Gundam's the most played game, we're just not putting it on the chart.
It's like Harry Potter. It's like Harry Potter in the New York Times. They're like, all right, forget Harry Potter. It's winning every time. Let's just take it off the list. Yeah.
Right. It's not even worth mentioning. It's a given. And then they made Gundam vs. Gundam Next, which was that was the biggest game and probably the best Capcom developed Gundam vs. game. And they actually were able to ride on that for quite a while because that came out in 2008 and Extreme Versus wasn't until I want to say 2011 actually. So they were able to rake in the cash just with arcade games,
didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually an arcade near me that had the Gundam Next cabinet. The only other way you could play the game was on PSP, which thankfully is region free, so I was able to practice it. But yeah, but what's cool about those games, right? Besides being team-based, besides being based off of a franchise that a lot of people like, they are surprisingly more like a 3D fighter as you know them, right? In GOA, VF, Tekken. They're more like that than you might think.
Like they're sidestepping and stuff.
There is sidestepping. There's sidestep canceling. we're already in familiar territory, right?
I'm changing. I'm going to be a Gundam player next. You'll see me playing Gundam.
Hey, it actually runs all right online because it's not a traditional fighting game. It doesn't run into the problem of both players need to see the same image on their screen. So
yeah,
it actually runs okay online. They can get away with some educated guesswork. But what's really cool about those games is that they are team-based and they have obviously like the more ranged units that shoot and things like that. So in that sense, and I'm not saying it's a shooter, but like if you play like Splatoon, for example, right? Yeah. It may not be a bridge too far across to give Gundam a try, right? If you play fighting games like 3D fighters, you can play a melee suit. I've mostly played Epion in those games. It infamously has the giant green laser sword and the heat rod, but no guns, right? So I'm just moving and schmoving and trying to hit you. Which is, you know, that's how I generally like to approach 3D fighters, right? So you can get a good, I don't want to say compromise.
I wonder if the radius is just as big.
Right. And shooter, which is
It feels really large.
And Namco and their
Absurdly large.
doesn't want to port these games.
Oh, like that.
I don't know why. I mean, so I think Maxi Boost, which is on PS4, it's a digital download.
I like
I think
grenades.
that on the US PSN store. But other than that, I mean, someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't think they've ever actually localized a Gundam game. So you know what they did do at one point? They actually made a game specifically for the Western market, put it on PC, which was such a slap in the face considering what it is. It was a game called, you can look this up, Rise of Incarnates.
I remember hearing about this. I remember hearing about this.
It was based on the Gundam vs. engine, but when I say it is the most, I mean, watered down as a compliment. I mean, just abysmal game. And of course, that's the one they put on PC, and that's the one they market to the West, right? Not the one that anyone would actually want to play, right?
That is so. Yeah, that's like
A decision.
You know, that's almost like like 1990. Let's bring the Western version and tone down the difficulty of the
Are you serious?
type of stuff.
Yep.
That's great.
I
remember
with friends like this, who needs enemies, right? When the 3D game developers are stumbling over themselves and making all the wrong decisions and
So
creatively
well, yeah.
creatively lost, arguably, I would definitely argue that.
Absolutely.
You know, where can you go from there, right? You know, that's my thing is like, you know, when I talk to
Move.
players and I ask them, like, if you were to make a fighting game, what would you make? It's usually along the lines of, oh, I'd make a Street Fighter type of game, or I'd make a Guilty Gear type of game, or whatever. I would make a 3D fighter, straight up. That would be my choice, because I think there needs to be more good 3D fighters out there, and I think those are the types of games that, and to kind of put in perspective here too, once upon a time, 3D fighters would sell consoles because they would be some of the best looking games on launch.
They were the premium fighters, yeah. Like I remember that era a lot. Like when Tekken 4 showed up in the arcade, they had like an actual like movie poster looking thing that's like Tekken 4 is coming. Tekken 4 is coming. You looked at the 2D fighters and you're like, shh, Tekken 4 is coming, dude. We're not putting our characters in that. We're saving them for Tekken 4. I mean, I remember that era very well. And remember all that era of they would have all these kind of knockoff 3D fighters too, like the Dragon Ball Z fighters. Like for a while, the template was make a 3D fighter, and then that shifted to Street Fighter 4 basically. Or somewhere in there.
Well,
somewhere
yeah, so
remember Mortal Kombat had the 3D fighter era too, where they're like
Armageddon,
yeah, and Deadly Lines, yeah.
Yep.
Fuck on my way.
10 area, somewhere in there, 9, 10, 8, 7, somewhere in there. Like 3D just fell off big time.
Yeah, and I think what kind of ended up happening was, I guess to some degree you could argue they became a victim of their own success, because after the PS3 and 360, or honestly I might even say with the PS3 and 360, other games looked basically just as good, if not better, on launch. And at that point, what else did they have to offer? A lot of them didn't have online play, and if they did, it wasn't obviously rollback based at that point. So what can you do? I mean, at that point, you got to sell it on the game itself, the actual meat and potatoes of the system design and whatnot. And how many people are even gonna, crack that shell open enough to even see it?
You know what they kind of ran into? This is reminding me of my $2 VF4 purchases. They kind of had a bit of a sports game vibe to them, a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Where where for example, if you go into a game shop and you're going to buy,
Where'd that nade go?
you're going to buy some PS2 2D fighter, they'd still probably hold their price somewhat. But you walk into a game, it might be different now, but you used to walk into a game shop.
That's the last guy.
They'd be like, we can't even sell this, you know? Like they had this sort of, you know how when you go into a game shop and like the sports games are 50 cents? I feel like
a little bit too fast for me.
You could buy like Dead or Alive 3 for $1 or something crazy low like that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember one of the times, this was longer than it feels like now, but when I was living in Japan, I was going through the used games section of Book Off, which is like a chain over there for used games and books. I remember I was kind of just bored one day. I was like, okay, what's the cheapest game I can find in the PS2 section? And do you know what it was?
Better not have been Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate or Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore.
It was Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore.
No, I love it.
50 yen.
But the kind of fun part for me though is like sometimes I'd go into a store and there's nothing else to buy at my local game shop, and I'd just walk out with a copy of Dead or Alive. I already own it, but why not? I'll pay the $2.
I think 3D fighters just they've become kind of directionless, and from a creative standpoint, I don't want to beat that dead horse, but not having the trailblazer of the genre basically, hurts it. But then on top of that too, it's like, how do you market these games anymore, right? Do you market them as, oh, these are the best looking games on your console? That's not true anymore, right? Do you market them as,
especially with freaking Guilty Gear figuring out how to do 3D and 2D and all that? Guilty Gear like put a real hole in that because of how good they look.
Right, and if anything, at this point, a 3D fighter in terms of looks isn't about the raw, computing.
I need to have my weapon reloaded by the time.
Using the pre-existing tools like Unreal Engine in a way that's clever and plays to the visual presentation of a 3D fighter. Which, again, Arx has figured that out with Exler. Their tech demo, right? Because they didn't give a shit about.
Okay, maybe having a bunch of crawlers on the floor, not a good idea.
Because that set up DBZ fighters
and that was the first time in a long time that you could say a fighting game was technologically relevant.
Like people were talking. That's actually how I learned about Guilty Gear. Funnily enough, was people talking about its like technical achievements and stuff, and I was like, what? And then I saw it. This is insane.
Yeah. Have you ever seen how the models look? Have you ever seen how the models in Exer look without shading? They look hilarious.
Yeah.
They look so funny.
Yeah, I bet the KOF guys were like, could have done that the whole time, dude. We didn't have to spend money on those sprites.
But yeah, I mean that's just it. Is where do you go with 3D fighters now? I think the best thing you could do at this point, right? One, make a new game. No more Full Caliber, Tekken, BF. As much as we love them, right?
Really? You mean a new franchise?
I mean an entire new franchise. I mean, hit the restart button on 3D fighters as close to as literally as possible. Because people, first of all, right? There's the perception that this game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to catch up to the good players, right? And that's what like games like Strive have had to overcome, right? And to some degree, they've succeeded, I'd say, right? You know, they're like, oh no, this isn't like the old
Strive is a new game. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So I say just make a new 3D fighter straight up. And
well,
you know,
one of my thoughts would be, this might be annoying to fellow fighting game fans, but like, what if Dead or Alive, the next Dead or Alive, they just go Dead or Alive, and then they really go in on the graphics and stuff, and maybe that could be a breath of fresh air for 3D fighting games too. So
Well,
Dead or Alive
there's a-
kind of figured out what it wants to do, because what I mean is like, when you think about, okay, what can we do with Virtua Fighter to make it more popular and accessible? What can we do with it? That exists. It's called Dead or Alive. And so like, if Dead or Alive got its crap together and made a really, really solid next entry, I could see that being kind of a gateway into the other 3D games for people who don't typically play 3D fighters. I could see
that could, but there's a bit of an elephant in the room with DOA, and that is that some people just, on principle, won't play the game based on how it looks.
I have a very high tolerance for that, so.
Right, yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, you know, you are definitely excluding a certain amount of people right out the gate just because of the game's visual style.
So give me, before we move on, give me kind of your pitch of what this new 3D fighter would be like.
I would make the best Soul Calibur game that Namco never cared to make. That would be what I would
like Dark Souls fighting game.
Dark Souls PvP, where everyone just rolls all the time?
No. Like, the IP is Dark Souls. The IP is Dark Souls, but the gameplay is like Soul Calibur.
I wouldn't be opposed to the idea.
Then you could get the Dark Soul PvP guys to play it. Oh, yeah.
For however long, until they realize the Dark Souls PvP stuff won't work anymore, but yeah. I'm not opposed to the idea of pitching it onto a pre-existing franchise necessarily, but you know, I just think there needs to be, we just need to wipe the slate clean, right? Because no matter what game you look at, whether it's Tekken, VF, Soul Calibur, there's aspects of those games that have endured literally just because that's the way it's been.
Yep.
And
like Shake Stun, get that out of here, VF. Shake Stun?
Like Staggers? I love Staggers, but to be honest with you, I think, especially in the later years, they did kind of lose their way on what moves to put Staggers on and things like that. I think Staggers, when done correctly, actually add a lot of interactivity to fighting games, and I think that's why.
I think the actual implementation of shaking is just real. That's some old school stuff. I think what they should do is they should make it like a tech, or like you hit a stagger and you have to hit the tech during the stagger, rather than shake. I don't know. I just think the shake is really. It doesn't feel properly competitive to me. It feels a little too arcadey to me. The shake. The shake.
I think when dialed in and done correctly, it's a net benefit. But I'll say, even with VF5, even the last version of VF5, actually, that was one of the most controversial aspects of Final Showdown. They got rid of the stagger on Elden.
I need to be accurate with my nades, because that's getting me killed.
They said, oh, we added more hit stunts, now you just get a certain amount of guaranteed reward, but I feel like that was really missing the forest for the
They're
troops.
flying all over the place.
Players didn't really warm up the Final Showdown.
That nade even hit me.
Well, my thought would be, because DOA did this, they eventually were kind of like, they toned it down. They're like, okay, because it used to be to shake out a stagger like crazy, or in Dead or Alive 4. Like, you could shake yourself out of a lot of frames. And I feel like a little bit here and there could be cool, but it just feels to me like too variable and weird of a mechanic for today's sort of design. That would be my thought, is make it
so
tech instead of like
if you're comparing it to other games that are, you know, on the market right now, absolutely, it would feel very out of place. I do agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, as far as like what I would make in a 3D fighter, I would really just, I think Soul Calibur arguably has the best concept of any 3D fighter, because if there's one thing, and
Weapons.
this is definitely like a statement that needs to be qualified with other statements, but like, as far as like replicating the best aspects of 2D fighters, I think Soul Calibur comes the closest of any 3D fighter, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, and here's where the qualifying statements come in, I think that tends to come at the expense of the 3D fighter parts of the game in many cases. And that's why Soul Calibur, especially in the later versions like 4 and 5, and 6 less so. 6 has something of a dedicated following, but it doesn't have good netcode, so it's effectively dead in the water these days. But I remember Soul Calibur 4, especially Soul Calibur 4 and 5, a lot of people were just like, this game's scrubby, it's stupid, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, they weren't wrong necessarily.
I'm not a fan of the meters either.
I think meter in 3D games can work. I just don't think anyone's really cared to make it, honestly. I think it can work. It depends on... It's honestly not even that different from how you would implement meter in a 2D game. It's just that, you know, obviously you don't want to give people EX moves in a 3D game for the most part, right? You don't want to have meter dictate the decision-making process, which already, that's a problem with... I mean, going back as far as... It's really funny to hear, right? When you listen to a really old-school Street Fighter 2 player, someone who played World Warriors, Champion Edition, and Hyper Fighting, right?
They were not thrilled with supers,
They go Super Turbo, ruin Street Fighter, because as soon as someone has a meter lead, they just sit on it, which, I mean, on principle, isn't entirely wrong, you know? Like, there is some truth to that statement. But I think...
This leads perfectly into the next topic. It's going to be this most seamless transition, which is the homogenization of fighting game mechanics. Because in my opinion, this is a big problem with 3D fighters right now. Dead or Alive 6, Tekken 8, we're about to see, where they're like, what do we do? Like I said, there's no Virtua Fighter to copy, so they're like, what do we do? We were copying Virtua Fighter mostly, so what are we doing now? Well, let's copy Street Fighter, I guess. And so we're going to add meters, and we're going to have FADC cancels. Does it make sense in our design? Where we were mostly based off of Virtua Fighter before? But maybe not, but here they are. I feel like this is a big problem. Like, nowadays, it feels like it's almost like a law. You know, if you make a fighting game, it must have a super and a meter. It's dictated by the global council of fighting game design. It must have a super.
I think you pretty much summarized the 3D problem pretty well there.
Down around town over and over again. I need to pull my shit together because it's unacceptable.
It's proven to be popular clout to a game. And what I mean by that is like, there are times where more popular games will take ideas from less popular games because that less popular game has a highly favorable opinion among fighting game players.
Yeah, street cred.
Yes, exactly. So, honestly, this has been a problem to me for almost as long as I've been playing fighting games. And I think patient zero for the modern implementation, or the modern aspect, you know, where we are now, right?
Yes.
The patient zero.
I need to make it so that I can just have my ammo.
Copy pasted Roman cancel from Guilty Gear into Street Fighter. And this pissed me off then. It honestly still kind of pisses me off now.
Well,
and
it is so... It's like FADC cancel is so signature now that we're getting it in Tekken. I mean, this thing is like... It's like parry. You know, it cannot be stopped.
It even kind of came back with Drive Rush, right? In a way.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the problem with these types of mechanics, right? Is that Roman cancel makes perfect sense in Guilty Gear. Because Guilty Gear is intentional... And we're talking XX primarily here.
Yes.
But like... You know, because we're comparing SF4, you know, it's not about snubbing, it's not about thumbing my nose at the later games, but they have their own issues and they don't necessarily apply to this part of the discussion. But if you're talking about Guilty Gear XX, right, Roman cancels make perfect sense because the game is designed in such a way so that no one system mechanic can completely overpower other aspects of the game. They might overpower one or two, but there's like 3 other ones that you can use to work around, right? The problem with putting a mechanic like that in a game like Street Fighter, which inherently has less options, is inherently more limited in terms of, you know, system-based options you can rely on, is that
it shifts the meta entirely.
What it does is it ends up creating a risk scenario that wasn't actually intended.
That's tough.
Right.
That's good.
Classic SF4 moment, right? When Ryu does wake up, fierce dragon punch,
FADC, yeah.
Doesn't care hit or block, doesn't really matter because he knows one way or another, as long as he can confirm it, which isn't that hard to do.
Exactly.
You're gonna have exactly. Now, why doesn't that happen in Guilty Gear? Well, there's a couple reasons. For one, not every dragon punch in that game hits at ground level. So if you know a DP's coming, you can do a move that'll make the dragon punch completely whiff.
Yeah.
And they don't get the cancel. So there you go. They just eat shit. The other thing too is that even for the DPs that do hit at ground level, they usually only keep them on the ground for a very, very short period of time. So could you just do like with Soul, Volcanic Viper RC immediately as you wake up and get something approximating the scenario with Ryu? Sure. But there's a bit of a catch here, which is that your window to confirm hit or block is a lot smaller.
Right.
And it's something.
Oh, he came out in front! Oh, wasn't expecting that.
Airborne, which is not where you want to be in that scenario, especially if you're in the corner. Airborne in the corner.
Right, yeah.
I'm not very familiar with how they come out of windows.
I can think of, and maybe not the most pertinent to what modern.
I can't even hack ground 10. I just realized I'm being down on round 10 over and over again.
That's the example to me that I'll always cite because it really was the beginning of this trend. And again, Guilty Gear was not a popular franchise outside of Japan, right? It was doing very well for itself in the arcades over there. It was, you know, in Arcadia top 10 pretty much every month. It actually, funnily enough, did better than SF4 in certain stretches of time.
Oh yeah, wasn't SF4 kind of a dud in arcades?
It was hit or miss, yeah. I mean, it had its good months, it had its bad months, but you know, here's Street Fighter 4, the game that is targeting a global audience, right? And it's taking a mechanic, basically a bespoke mechanic from a far less popular game on a global scale, and trying to adapt it to a system that was just never meant to handle it.
Yeah, fucking radiator.
And from there, it's gotten exponential. Like every game now takes something from another game, one way or another.
Yep.
And you know, all art is derivative, right? You know, there's nothing new under the sun, all that. But when you literally just copy-paste mechanics like that, you are just asking for problems. You are just asking for...
I talked about this with Parry in Resident Evil 4 Remake, where I said, you can't just shove Parry into Resident Evil 4. And people are like, why not? Why can't you do that? You know, it's like, well, because it has this domino effect for everything else. And I can see that absolutely Street Fighter, because Street Fighter took, like, doing low forward pokes, which was kind of like, okay, low forward into maybe a super, low forward into, like, a fireball. Now it's like low forward into fireball into full combo, baby. Like, it did change the meta big time.
Yep. Absolutely. And honestly, I think part of the reason they went with the decision they did in SF6 to just give you full meter right away is because they knew that was going to be so integral to the game that you couldn't afford to wait to do any of this stuff. Like, you know, drive impact is a different type of mechanic than what we're talking about, but that's the type of thing that like you want access to right away. You're not going to want to have to sit and wait on that, you know? And same with drive rush, you know, just today watching the pools, I can't tell you how many round start drive rush crouch forward I saw. Like it's just one of those things that like, yeah, they could limit your ability to use it, but because and I'm giving SF6 here to be honest with you, because everything is put together in such a way that you really do need to use the system mechanics. It only makes sense to give you meter. You know, like, it really only makes sense to have the game that
doesn't make your game depend on meter. It's, I think, stupid to then make you wait for it to show up. Now you're just forcing players to hang around basically and play the let's build meter game. Right?
Well, here's the thing: is
like
there's room for that. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember in Third Strike you'd be playing against a Ryu online. Immediately he jumped back and started trying to build engine. Same thing with Urian. It's like,
there's footage of Evo Third Strike matches where, you know, the best players in the world are doing, right? Yeah. So, you know, not to blow too much smoke up Guilty Gear's behind, but, you know, I think Guilty Gear took a really good approach with that, with tension pulse and the mechanics that complement it and things like that. Yeah, and there's room for having, you know, no meter in fighting games. And even though I think generally it doesn't work more than it does work, I think there's also room for carrying meter over in fighting games. But a lot of it has to do with how important you make those options, right? And how essential are they to winning matchups? How essential are they to, you know, gaining, not even advantage in like the frame data sense, but just in neutral, being able to jockey for position. Are you going to be able to do that without meter or not? Right? And that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's like you're walking into a fight without a, you know, you're going into a knife fight and you don't have your weapon until halfway through the fight and then it appears in your hand. You know,
You sharpen your knife from the start of the round.
Yeah, you're like in middle, you're like, come on, meter. And I can't remember what match this was, but I was watching some replay or something. And the guy's like, yeah, so I ended up losing because I thought I'd get meter here, and it didn't, I miscalculated. It's like an RPG, you know, you got to calculate. Okay, I'm gaining meter on these hits and stuff. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that because why I'm not is not because meter in itself is an issue, but it's because that you're not considering a holistic view of your design. You're just like, it's like a checkbox, like you're saying. It's like,
why am I out sprinting?
People like that. You got to put supers in there because it's legally required to have a super. We need to create depth, so we need to create systems. Whether or not it actually improves the fundamental gameplay feels like unclear, especially with Tekken 8. Tekken 8 definitely feels that way. I can see the guys in Namco headquarters talking to each other like, what do we do? Like, what do we add from Tekken 7?
That was not a good nade spot.
Like we're doing something. You know, that's how he feels.
They just
really
disappeared.
What to do? Let's try something from another game and hope it works.
So I started at Street Fighter took Roman cancels from Guilty Gear, right?
Yeah.
So with Street Fighter 5, which, here's the thing. Yes, it declined in popularity over time, and public sentiment was generally against the game after a certain point. However, it was still one of the biggest fighting games, which that's its own subject, but I'm not going to get into that right now. What happened, in my opinion, is Arxis and other developers saw that, and they said, well, even if people shit on this game, right? This is clearly a case of stated versus preferred preference. Clearly, they want more of what this game has to offer, so let's make strong.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Guilty Gear Street Fighter Edition.
I think we have come pretty much full circle at this point, where it started with, you know, more popular games taking things from less popular games, because those less popular games have a dedicated and, you know, I guess you'd say respected following, right? Of high-level players
from somewhere.
Right. And then when it comes time for that game to try to blow up in its own way, it looks at the more popular game and goes, well,
so funny. It's like, they're eating each other's vomit. You know, it's just passing through them and they're passing it back and forth to each other. Yeah, that does also make fighting games, we're talking about the need of a new franchise, that's also too, it makes them feel very homogenous and derivative because everything, they're just looking at each other. Versus in the past, when they're making Virtua Fighter, they're studying freaking Kung Fu and martial arts to come up with a fighting system. They're not looking at other fighting games to come up with this stuff. They're having to get external influences. And now it's all very meta, where like we get ideas from other fighting games and fighting games get ideas from each other and they just pass their design back and forth like a football.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. And I think, too, honestly, fighting games look to other genres these days, especially for influence, but not really in, like, meaningful ways.
No,
yeah.
It's just enough to help market the game, basically.
Pretty much. Now, I don't want to say I never had any hope for Project L, right? I did.
What, 6 years ago? Or whatever?
Right?
Jeez, it's been in development for like a decade, right? Or
Here's the thing, it's like, this is where I sound like the bitter old man I am, is like, I don't get why Riot's games are popular. I don't like them, I don't enjoy them. I honestly don't even get the appeal other than just, this is the flavor of dopamine drip that these people like.
Well, I think a big part of it is the topics we talked about earlier, where once you hit that enough...
It's freeware, that's why it's popular. Popular in Asia, it's not popular.
But it definitely reached that point. But my take on Project L back
When
then,
people had money.
I don't know what it's going to be like.
I mean, it is actually kind of, that's a lie.
But maybe Riot can sprinkle just enough of that mental crack cocaine that they put in all their other games, that maybe this will be the one that actually does get a sizable following, right? And that was pretty much my opinion for a while until
Where can I cut back?
Killian left the project. Now,
Back,
Brazilian Dog
back!
is
You lose some...
Street Fighter player, has worked in the past.
Lose some weight, please.
Wasn't Project L based off his... I don't want to mix
I like how you put a baguette there, though, on the table.
I believe so.
The kitchen set. You know, let me just throw nades at the barrier with no window, yeah, that's logical.
To say that Seth Killian saved Street Fighter 4 from becoming an unmitigated disaster is an understatement, right? This is one of those guys from the community that once he made the crossover to the industry, he didn't stop caring, right? And he left Project L.
Yeah.
And I feel like on its face, that's enough for me to just go, okay, this isn't going to be it. This is not going to be it.
I could see fighting game design running headlong into whatever MOBA or whatever design Riot game typically do. I could see them just... That's the thing, it's like you can't... Design and stuff isn't just... I'm trying to think of a polite way to phrase this, but it's like, just because you make a popular game in one genre, doesn't mean you have the skills to immediately translate that into another genre. I think people tend to think that's possible. It's like, oh, they made a really good MOBA game, so of course they'll make a great fighting game. I say this because it comes up with shmups all the time. Everyone's like, oh, Platinum, they make awesome character action, so they'll be great at shmups. Like, well, you have to actually know what you're doing still. But I think the way people's minds work is like the more popular genres are more specially designed, they're more intricate and important. So when you look at those like humble fighting games, shmups, and these arcade games, you know, these were designed by cavemen, and so if you get a real sophisticated dev in there, they're just gonna blow up. They're gonna just know exactly what to do. I think what happened is maybe I'm just totally spitballing here. I think that's probably what happened with Project L. They came in, they're like, oh, we got this, and they're like, oh my god, it actually.
It's a fighting game. How hard can it be?
Yeah, exactly. And then they go and they're like, oh shit, like fighting games are hard to make, dude.
Well, no, they're easy to make, but they are very difficult to make well. That's the issue. You know, the way I like to put it is that you can make a fighting game. This is how easy fighting games are to mess up from a developer standpoint. You can make a fighting game with only the best intentions in the world, you know, only wanting the game to be as engaging and as interactive between players as possible, and your game can come out and people can enjoy it, and it can be considered, you know, a really good game. And then 3 months later, some guy in Brazil, we're really picking on Brazil tonight. Some guy in Brazil,
South Americans, they're my homies.
Some guy in Brazil finds out that your game's OTG state is bugged,
Yeah.
and now everyone in your game has a practical infinite, and now all that work you did to make the game good effectively doesn't matter until this gets fixed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fighting game design in a nutshell, really. It's kind of a meme in the community of like, no fighting game is good on its first version, which isn't necessarily 100% true, but it's true enough, right?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Are we gonna do something here? Gonna get on one knee for me?
People just assume you released Street Fighter into the arcade one time, and it's like, oh no, we released Street Fighter into the arcade like 10 times, or whatever.
I mean, sometimes not even a big update.
Board,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
Border Visions were a big thing. It was Third Strike. The port that we got on the Dreamcast was the updated Border Vision, right? It's still Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Yeah.
It still looks like the same game, but if you played Yurian or Oro, you knew pretty quickly that was not the same game that people were playing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, a funny example of this is in Shmuckland is Pink Suites, where there's one Pink Suites, but there's like 6 Border Visions. Some of them have infinite lives glitch, some don't. You have to look at the dots on the bottom of the board or some crazy like. Yeah, Border Visions are a thing. So back in the day, Capcom was like, yeah, let's patch this. No one even talked about this. And people don't know that went on. So they just assumed, yeah, they nailed it the first try, and that's not the case.
But yeah, I mean, to bring it back to the main point of the topic here, of the homogenization of fighting games, I think it has become a circular phenomenon, right? On a long enough timeline, something gets popular again, and then the less popular thing sees some level of, you know, reference in the popular material, and then eventually...
I need to hold the windows better, that was pathetic.
You know, it is right, but, you know,
Like, air dash is everywhere now.
Yeah, honestly, even Street Fighter 5, they gave it to some characters, so...
Yeah. But like if you're at home and you're like, I'm gonna make a fighting game, like a lot of like smaller fighting games now, they're like air dashers. You know, that's like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a more popular like template fighting game design than even maybe old school Street Fighter Fireball Uppercut. Like everything has.
I can't really run the numbers on that offhand. I have a feeling that you're not like off base. It's just I couldn't tell you based on the games that have come out in the past 5 or 6 years. You're talking about like the indie games from that.
Yeah. Like smaller games or like games that aren't really all that. You know, like if an indie dev is like, I'm making a fighting game, that sucker's gonna have an air dash. You know? I tell you.
These days, yeah, you're probably right. It'll probably also have a tri-jump too, because for some reason we love having tri-jumps in these games.
Yes. Well, there's one final topic before we get into the proper topic. This is all proper topic, which is you wanted to talk about UI in fighting games because this ties into the fighting game design discussion we've had really going, and
Yes.
I'm really excited about people.
This also ties into
design more. Yeah.
This also ties into being able to run tournaments in a reasonable amount of time.
Yes. Which has to do with UI. So I'm fascinated because I'm kind of uncertain about my thoughts on what proper fighting game UI is. I know what I think about it in most arcade games. Fighting games a little bit trickier. But and then of course matchmaking and online play, which I'm really excited to talk about as well. So give me your thoughts on UI. Inform us. What's going on with UI?
So again, credit to Street Fighter 6 for bucking this trend and actually going in the right direction. But we're not talking about Street Fighter 6 here. We're talking about just about every other fighting game in the past 7 or 8 years. They love to waste your time. Guilty Gear Strive is one of the worst offenders, actually.
Oh my god.
Just to start the game, you have to phone home to AWS. For what? For what? What reason?
Piracy thing? That would be my guess.
If you want to just play the game, you're not even playing it online, right?
I know. They're that serious. They're like, no.
Yeah,
You're
but
not
that's just it. Someone on Twitter a while ago. Made a video. That might be it, but honestly, that means we need better anti-piracy.
Yeah, definitely.
But someone on Twitter a while ago made a video comparing the amount of time it took to start a fighting game and to enter training mode. So that was the goal.
Yeah.
Start the game, enter training mode.
Speedrun.
Plus R won this by a landslide, by the way. But every other game had some type of login, some type of connecting to server, some type of obstacle between you and the game.
Yeah.
Now, in the moment, this is a minor inconvenience, right? But there's a problem with taking that approach to this, which is that if you take a step back, you'll notice pretty quickly that a lot of the time that you spend playing a game anymore is actually spent looking at a screen and waiting. And I remember this first started to bother me when I played Street Fighter 5 online. And I remember one day I was so like caught up about this. I was like, you know, I'm gonna record my online session today. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna look to see when I got a match, and then I'm gonna timestamp the start and end of that match, and then I'm gonna do that for every match that I get, because I was just doing the ranked grind, right? And when I was done and I did that, I spent almost exactly as much time playing as I did waiting.
Yep.
And okay, I know with Street Fighter 5 and other games, they give you the option to wait in training mode. So okay, you could do something while you're doing this. However, that's still not really a solution, right? For example, like, you know, during the day, if I'm working and I get all my tasks done, I might want to play for like 30 minutes at a time, right? For a game
That's
like
the issue.
yes, for a game like Plus R SF6, that's totally doable. In 30 minutes, I can get 20 matches or more, right? For Street Fighter 5 or Strive or Tekken is
Fucking
actually
reload.
the worst defender.
Yes.
If for no other reason, those ridiculous loading screens.
That's why I stopped playing Tekken Online. I'm not kidding. I
Fair,
stopped playing
honestly,
Tekken Online
that's fair.
because I would spend, I would count this on Discord and people could just see me ranting about this on Discord. I'd go on Discord.
Maybe I need to hold the window, actually.
Get 5-10 minutes.
Oh, fuck you, huh?
Have him rage quit round
Ah!
one. Okay,
Neck!
let's go again. And I ran into like 6 rage quitters. It took me like half an hour to actually complete a match because every time I was winning, I would get a rage quit. And then the other times I'm sitting at loading screens or matchmaking ableist. Pure hell. And coming back to Tekken 7 now, because of like solid state hard drives and like it being a little bit better, made it so I can actually sit through the matchmaking. But in the early days of that game, it was truly.
Yeah, that's not good.
If you're on PS4, just forget it.
Yeah, I think it's still unacceptable, but I mean, yeah, it's probably better now. It's just the amount of time you spend not playing. Obviously, it's even just a fighting game problem. However, it's really bad for fighting games for 2 reasons. Because one,
Wait, what am I doing? I'm treating this like I can just do that.
So again, to put this in perspective, right? Another game.
That's not how this game works.
Rainbow Six Siege, right? 5-on-5 FPS. That game
run.
are close to 1,000. But when I go on my R6 stat tracker, it's about 500 in terms of actual in-game played out. So
Fuck.
this is roughly the same as Street Fighter.
Off.
So okay, that's about par for the course for modern gaming, right? Well, hold on a second here. A game of Siege requires 10 players. A game of Street Fighter requires
Just 2. Oh, that's
So-
funny. I never even thought about that. I was like, there's got to be a twist here. What's the twist?
So-
yeah, you have to sit and wait for 10 people to enter the match.
and they got to be on the game. So I think they are. I think they do still have to be on the same data center and whatnot. But with a fighting game, you should be able to like honestly, every game should have plus R quick match. Like even people who play bigger fighting games have remarked and said the community isn't as big, obviously. But if I want to play some games of plus R online, it doesn't matter what time of day, it doesn't matter anything else. I can go in a quick match. There will be someone, at least one person to play with, and I can just select them and go. And there's no
It's actually insane how good the phone round changing music is, and how inferior any other rendition they came up with. It just sounds so correct.
any modern fighting game until Street Fighter.
You know?
You know what really opened my eyes to this phenomenon was for a long time, I literally said to myself, I'd go on Steam charts before I'd buy a fighting game, or even consider playing it, even if I owned it.
Max ammo.
I would still go into Steam charts and say, if there are not 300 active players, I will not play this game. And the reason why I thought that, which I thought was pretty legitimate, is because I did the mental math. I'd be sitting waiting for matches forever. And I was like, I do not have the time and patience to sit and wait for a match forever. So I need at least 500 or so players active so I can get quick matches. An experience that turned me around on this was playing Fightcade, where there's like 12 people in a room, so there's only 12 of us. But it's like the second you leave.
Fuck! Why am I so bad at hoarding?
So the turnover was literally.
I need to figure out a strat, because whatever I'm doing is not working. It's working better than it was before.
Can connect you to that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's a huge deal.
And for fighting games,
I need to... I want to camp. Fuck it, I'm not doing any...
Crazy theory.
If anything.
So you can say
Just want to camp.
But, and you would know because you spent time in Japan.
To fucking speedrun.
Experience with like Japanese streaming. and,
Fuck
like,
out
Japanese
of camping.
scheduling is they are surprisingly super generous with time. Like there's Japanese shmup events where they would have hour-long layovers in between the runs where they're just hanging out. Same thing with like.
That's how serious it is. We just need to buy the nades while a nade is on the wall buy. That's how serious it is. It's always been this serious.
Going on, and they're just like hanging out the rest of the time. And so I wonder if this might somewhat play into maybe some Japanese culture where they're not as, American now. We need this now. So they're like, what? You gotta wait 5 minutes for the match. What's the big deal? Do you think is that that's theory? Do you think that could maybe play part of it?
maybe. I don't know. I honestly couldn't say. I mean, I think. Here's my theory on it more than anything, right? I think this has more to do with, and this started with console, but I think it's infected PC now. Standardized like console online interfaces, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, to me, like the patient zero for this was the Xbox 360 because before the 360, at least on the Dreamcast and a couple other consoles, you had what was called a soft reset function, where you could reset the game by pressing every button on the controller at the same time. With the 360, that completely went out the window. That did not exist anymore. You had to press the guide button and have a little window pop up, and then go back into the dashboard and have all the ads load in, and then you could restart the game.
Yep.
So for a typical at-home single-player experience, again, this is like, what's the big deal? It's just a moment or two. Which, yeah, for a single-player at-home experience, this doesn't really matter. However, when you're talking about running a tournament with 7,000 entrants, right?
Or if you have 30 minutes to kill, and you want to get some matches in, and you do the mental math in your head, and you say, okay, I got 30 minutes, I can play approximately 4 matches.
Hit me again and I'll fucking kill you. Oh, wait, you already done.
There you go.
What you have to
changes the calculus.
Yeah, what you have to do is basically, I really pick up what you're putting down here, because basically, I noticed in my behavior, like, for modern fighting games, you always have to schedule time. But with, like, a shmup, I'm sitting around, I've got 30 minutes to kill, I'll just fire up Tatooine and be like, 30 minutes,
Yep.
done. Because there's no matchmaking, there's no lobbying, and all that. And like the fact, if you can cut down that fat to where I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what, I could get 30 minutes of a fighting game in right now, and I'd play it. And you'd get more people playing, and you'd get more retention, I think.
Yeah, no, and
Oh,
honestly,
that was such an advanced cart bag.
anything, a unique
That was such a nice cart bag.
that is not being
I know that cart bag. When you fuck up here, you can go back here.
able to. Unfortunately,
Insta-bed strut.
most modern games do not let you do that.
Nope. As much as I love Virtua Fighter 5.
You have 2 opportunities to get out. If you do it correctly, which is kind of tight.
Not having enough players, I think they're using such an archaic matchmaking system from when like the 360 first came out, pretty much, and they're just stuck with it.
Here's a hot take that I've had that I want to run by you because you've really thought about this. I had a thought the other day, which is, and I know a lot of players are going to be uncomfortable with this idea, but what if fighting games destroyed player match? As in, player match no longer existed. And the game that really sold me on this idea was Devil Daggers, because Devil Daggers, what it does is, even if you're just playing to dick around, it'll just put your score on the leaderboard. Even if you're not even trying, even if it's a failed run, it'll just say, okay, this isn't your PB, but it's not your PB, but it's just doing the work.
Die!
I'm wondering, the big problem. I'm a rank player. I don't like player matches. I like rank matches, and I hate player matches because I always feel like they're siphoning away so much competition out of rank, and I feel like people have the wrong view of rank. People view rank like it's a game you need to, so you can get up to your top 10x factor rank and feel good about yourself. But my view of rank is more holistic. Like, it's a tool to help you matchmake. So everything you do should be involved in rank in some way.
100%! Yes! That'd be insane. It's just to help you match.
Scale it and everything, but why not count that?
So it should be like,
It's weird if you get to know people online,
fuck away from me.
whatever. Like, doesn't it feel
Fucking
kind of
pedophile.
okay, but now we're playing ranked together? No, of course not. You're always playing player matches, but then you have like 80%, 70% of your time in the game being unranked, uncalculated. So then when you try to go into rank, I go in and I'm playing against a guy who has like, you can see their player card like 6,000 matches in player rank. This guy's gonna destroy me, but we're the same rank. What do you think of this idea? Like obliterating player matches and making everything ranked. Just have it ranked.
I think there's an easy solution to this that doesn't involve removing player match. Just implement hidden elo, because a bunch of games already do that.
Explain that.
Street Fighter 6 sort of does that with that thing where the first time you fire up ranked, it's like, what hidden elo queue do you want to be in, right? Do you want to be in the iron through bronze, the silver through gold, or the platinum through diamond, right? And of course, it's just an honor system at that point. It's like, just whatever queue you want to go into, you're in, right? I don't know the inner workings of it, and I don't know how much it matters past a certain point. I feel like once you hit that side, it just kind of goes out the window. But I think if they wanted to keep player match, which I'm not opposed to it too, and I'll also say I don't really care very much about rank. But rank to me is actually something I view as a problem in some ways.
I do in its function. I care 0% about my rank. In fact, ironically, the best way to get better at a fighting game is to not care about your rank. Because then you're actually challenging yourself. You're not doing that little bitch thing where you get a close match so you run away because you don't want to lose your rank.
That happens
I hate
so
that.
much of that stuff.
And Tekken 7, it's a plague.
Yeah.
It is a plague. Someone can beat you, but if they beat you too closely, they're like, this dude could actually beat me, so forget it. It's
So I'm
terrible.
done. Yep.
Yeah. But what I'm saying
No.
is like, but the function of rank to me is super important because I want to be matched.
Fucking chill.
Farming players lower than them and they just get a kick out of it. I find it quite boring and I almost feel guilty. Like if I'm beating down some guy who has no hope, I don't sit there and be like, oh god, this is just great. I feel like match him against someone and match me against someone. So like for me, that's why I almost always play rank so that I can find people of my skill level. But the mental part of it, of people who get so attached to the ranking number and stuff, that's why I'm saying like make it so built in that you don't even think about it. You never even think about your rank. You never consider it. You could even like somewhat hide it from the player a bit, but have that system in there that forces players to play their own skill level.
To bring this to my experience with rank in the arcades, I actually didn't view rank as anything to care about. And what really reinforced that for me was that I noticed when I beat people and they were using the card that tracked their win-loss and gave them their rank, if I beat them too much, they just stopped playing. So I was like,
take
okay.
the card out, or they would just stop playing.
They would just stop playing entirely. So I ran an experiment. I was like, okay, I'm not going to, because at least for Plus R, the way it worked in the arcades is if you didn't use your card, it didn't count at all. It was essentially a player match, right? Unranked match.
Right.
So I stopped using my card and I noticed people would play me.
Yes,
So I
because
said,
it's that stupid mental hang up on rank.
Yep.
I mean, it's really, but the function of it. Don't you think?
The intended function of it, yes, is noble because you want to have people roughly of your same skill level.
Yeah.
And the problem with SF6 especially is that the rank is so fake. I mean, it's so beyond fake. People are getting master rank with 40% win rates, which is like, come on, like that's not real.
Like I'm saying, people game it like it's a meta game. Like I'll hold the cord if I'm about to lose, or I'll make sure to only.
And here's the thing:
match up against scrubs and all that.
This is something that like other, not even video games, just other games. Chess, of course, is probably the template for rank in gaming, right? Because the ELO system originated from chess. And I don't even think ELO, from my understanding of it, is really perfect either, but like it works well enough for chess and what you needed for that.
Yeah.
But for a video game, and especially for a fighting game, it's really hard to say that there's going to be a productive way to use rank to reflect skill level. Because again, just using SF6 as an example because it's the biggest game I'm playing and it's the one with the most prominent ranking system, I guess you would say, and that it does just shove it in your face at all times.
Yeah.
I have played against people of my rank who are way worse than me, and I have played against people of lower ranks who clearly are really good at the game and are just starting off with a new character or something. And I think,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, you're good.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that you know, the placement matches that they do, right? The 10 placement matches do serve as kind of a way to establish like where you actually.
No, dude, look.
There is that question.
I need to. When they breach, I just need to stop nading. I think that's what I need to do. I'm trying to like. It's like I have camp in my game attack and I just force the camp or something. I've just a brain worm of just like, okay, you need to just keep throwing nades. You just need to keep, keep nading the zombies, and just have them respawning perpetually, That's not a very good way to play a first room, probably. It's certainly more fun though.
Than what the game thinks, based off the stuff the game is telling me. I'll give you an example of this. So I'll see a guy, and he's got a 90% win ratio, and he's played 100 matches, and he's at the same skill level as me, let's say level 20. I look at this guy and say, this guy is extremely high ranked, and what he's doing is he's scrub farming. So what he did was he's in platinum actually, and he got tired of playing platinum, so he's gonna reset his profile, and now he's good. And I'm almost always right. Every time I see the stats, 100% win rate, 100 matches, level 20. I'm like, this guy is farming, and he destroys me, obliterates me. There was this one guy in Tekken who was like trolling me because he was so much better than me. He was like bored because he was kicking my ass so hard. And then I'll see other metrics where it's like, okay, the guy's level 20 like me. He has 800 matches and a 40% win rate. I'm like, this guy's like my skill level, and it's almost always right because that's like kind of reflective of my skill level. Like my win rate isn't amazing, but I throw my body at match after match after match. And so when I see players like that, I'm like, oh, he's kind of on my skill level. And then you'll see other players who will have like a lower rank. They'll have like, let's say level 10 rank, and then they have 100 matches and they have like a 90% win rate, and you can kind of tell like, okay, this guy, he might not be really good. What he might be doing is he might be a rage quitter. And yep, rage quit time. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can kind of, even though the ranking system can't fully account for everything, sometimes you can kind of pick up meta elements from the information it gives you. Like, oh, this guy's a rage quitter, this guy's a farmer, this guy's a legit player. I think the most legit players are always people with like 50% win rates and like 1,000 matches. You're like, okay, this guy's like a legit player. He plays.
I would say for most fighting games, the threshold for high level, assuming that you're not, doing all the stuff that you just said, right? Yeah, I would say the threshold for high level is about 60% win rate. That's about right.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it's like between 60 and 80, regardless of how many games played, generally speaking, it's probably a pretty good player, right? But
yes,
any higher than 80, that is true too. But any higher than 80, that's where it's like, okay, yeah, it's probably someone farming or rage quitting.
Yeah. So you weren't sold on my idea of removing player matches entirely.
The only reason I'm not sold on it is because I have yet to see a single rank system in any fighting game that actually adequately matches you with people of your skill level.
That's true.
That's the thing. If they could figure that out, I mean, at that point, there's no need for a distinction at all, right? It's just a match, right?
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
I'd want my player, because Fightcade kind of does that because there's no rank at all. But
there is. It's not really. Yeah, there is rank. Not for every game. So for Dreamcast games, they don't have the rank yet. But for all the FB Neo games, they have rank.
Oh, maybe it's because I played Fightcade 1 for Third Strike, and I haven't played Fightcade since then for Third Strike. But when I played a Third Strike on the first Fightcade, there was no rank, and it had an interesting effect where, for one, you didn't get the crap. Like, no one rage quitted. Why would you rage quit? Especially because I can message you in the chat room and be like, bro, why'd you rage quit?
Yeah, what's going on?
Right, but so, like, you almost never got rage quit. You almost always got, like, better quality sets, better long gameplay. The only Achilles heel of why I would say that having no rank at all is kind of an issue is sometimes I'd match up against a guy in Japan who is so much better than me, but there's just, like, the two of us, so he's bored. So he would literally do the entire character screen on me. He'd go from top to bottom, just rotating characters until he got the full set. Yeah. Because there was no, so if there was like, you find that sweet middle spot of where you can get an idea of how good someone is, but you don't care. It's just a mechanism to match. That would be
so a lot of the modern Arxis games have, I can't really call it a hidden elo because it is in plain sight. They do like a little thing where it like displays your power level above your character avatar, and it's represented by a square, and whatever color the square is, that's your like power level, right?
Right.
And even that, honestly, I don't think is great. I mean, again, it can give you an idea. But what's funny too about that is that in addition to that power level square that they also just have a typical ranked mode as well. So I don't know how much they're believing in their own product there.
I think what we talked about before, I think developers are just throwing ideas. They're like, let's try it, let's see if it works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, let's try it.
And on the subject of UI and wasting time, please, Arxis, stop with the chibi lobbies.
Yes.
I get it. It was a neat idea at first, like, oh, we could bring the arcade experience to people who don't go to arcades, but that's not what it actually is, all right? You know what it actually is? It's an enormous waste of time. That's what it actually is.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I feel like the best solution to that is what SF6 did.
Why did they path that way?
Right. You don't have to use it.
Yeah, that's what
And I let that breach way too quickly. Not a good look. Not a good look.
You know, I have one of my hottest takes, and one of the things that gets me in hot water with people in the FTC is I say SF4 was not the savior you all think it is, right?
Right.
And one of the things that I point to is that look at all the missed opportunities. Didn't have rollback. It existed. They could have. It was possible. It was technically possible. They didn't put rollback in the game.
It
Right?
also started that really nasty trend of baking in lag. Let's not talk about that.
Well, actually, that may have actually been BlazBlue, but BlazBlue had a way to BlazBlue introduced the modern input buffer, basically. So that was their workaround kind of.
Right.
But you know, but like this is what I say to people, right? And some people get it. Once I put it this way, I say remove Capcom, remove Street Fighter, remove your personal investment from this game. Look at it as a video game that released in 2009.
Yeah.
Name one aspect of this game that is up to par for standards of that year. I can't think of one.
I would say its online matchmaking, while not amazing, I feel like it was a little bit more fleshed out than some of its peers at the time, like the online matches. Because I remember playing other games online and wishing it had like the lobbies were like you could get pretty quick matches in it. I think compared to a lot of its peers at the time. So playing it online, I found a lot more enjoyable than like trying to play other fighting games online. But I didn't.
You might have a point there, but also how many people were playing it? You know what I mean? But here's the thing, right? Street Fighter 6, I'm actually going to say on record, has actually set a lot of good trends, especially in the UI department. I mean, the netcode is great. I don't really have any issues with it. I haven't tested it yet. I can't really say exactly.
Don't have good jump.
Raise an eyebrow when it says 0 frames of rollback because most rollback-based netcode shouldn't be doing that. But I have some theories as to why I might be doing that I need to test. But as far as the UI and the matchmaking and the overall just experience of playing the game, it's pretty on point, honestly. And I think
you could tell Capcom guys, they really were like researching this stuff.
Yes, and they really went out of their way to make it good, and you can tell it's so much better.
They're like,
even Street Fighter 5
franchise.
Even Street Fighter 5, the UI was terrible, right? There was all these weird like arcane menus you had to know how to navigate through, and all this other stuff. And like a little bit of that bled into 6 and like the player rooms and stuff. But like otherwise, it's really good. It's really well made. All I care about is, hey, I'm a simple man. I want to start up the game. I want to play some matches, and I want to be done. Does this game let me do it? If yes, okay, I'll play it. I'll at least give it a shot. If no, forget it.
Yeah, it's just really hard. And that first impression too really goes a long way. You know, like if you're so sold on playing the game, maybe you'll sit through 5-10 minutes of waiting around for a match.
Right.
But if you're just trying it out and you have to wait 5 minutes for a match, that game's flushed. You're like done.
I don't think most people are going to do that, honestly. Yeah. And you know, and then, again, people in the FGC will go, oh, look at League of Legends, look at all these games where you have these wait queues. It's like, but again, these are like 8, 10, 16 player games. Fighting games need
it's a totally different
this many
demographic. Yeah.
What is fighting games' excuse for not having good matchmaking? Like, you know, that's just, it's one of those things that frustrates me to no end when I talk to people in this community sometimes. It's just they lose perspective and they lose scale. That's the other thing. They have no sense of scale. They think fighting games are way bigger than they actually are. Right? Yeah. It's crazy.
Remember that rule you brought up, the rule of a fighting game. The more someone talks about it, the more it's talked about, the less it's actually played.
There's a certain threshold for that.
You know the classic example of that? Well, there's a few, but the biggest is definitely Virtual Fighter. Like, if you show up, you roll into any chat and you say Virtual Fighter, everyone's like, Virtual Fighter?
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, they're like,
okay, who wants to play?
No, yeah. And then you go to an online match in Virtual Fighter, which I do, and I've sledged through it, I believe in it, but it's me and 4 dudes for the evening. We're getting to know each other. It's me and these 4 guys for the evening. We're playing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Virtual Fighter,
crazy.
Third Strike, Skullgirls, to some extent even Legacy, Guilty Gear these days. You know, it's just it's one of those things where it's like fighting games in general do actually have a lot of buzz surrounding them. It's weird. Like a lot of people who don't play fighting games still know about like Justin Wong, Evil Moment 37, and stuff like that. So like this has been one of my longest standing frustrations with this community. We do not know how to tap into latent interest. We don't know how to make the best of these games' presence and their whatever space they occupy in the cultural paradigm, which I'm not going to go too far into the subject, but I think there's a lot of parallels with professional wrestling, to be entirely honest with you.
Yeah, there's a huge crossover.
Because it's one of those things where, like, not a lot of people really watch wrestling anymore, right? But people used to, and people remember it. Yeah. And if you press the right buttons and get the right people from the past in something now, it helps, right? I mean, The Rock, highest paid actor in the world. Yeah. He started with this, outdated hick, carny bullshit, right? But, that's just it, is fighting games have a similar level of latent interest. People remember Street Fighter, right?
And the arcade days.
If you're old enough, you almost don't even have to be someone who identifies as a gamer. If you're old enough, you know what Street Fighter is.
I thought I'd lunge at that.
It's one of those things. It has that power. It has that potential. And at least with 6, it seems like we're finally starting to dig into that somewhat in a really meaningful and impactful way outside of just, there's more people at EVO this year than last year. It's like, well, no shit, dude. It's a new game. That's not really, like, to me, that's not really an accomplishment. Like, even if it's a lot more people, like, in and of itself, just having more entrants at EVO, that's just one aspect. Well, that's just one thing.
One thing I'll definitely admit, and this is something that I thought that I was wrong about, totally, was after my personal experience with Street Fighter 4 into 5, and then I found playing 3D games and Tekken and even like Guilty Gear to some degree, XX and all that, playing these other fighting games basically, is I felt like, you know what, after my experience playing other fighting games, like I've kind of moved on from Street Fighter personally, and I kind of overestimated that and figured most people probably felt the same way. So coming into Street Fighter 6, I was actually quite convinced that it would not have a big resurgence. I was quite convinced it was kind of be like, and then the series would continue this decline. I was quite convinced of that, and I was absolutely wrong because I expected people to be like, Street Fighter 6, who gives a shit? But holy crap, it caught fire, and people who were latent. Basically, what you're saying is like there's this crowd, there's this giant wave of Street Fighter fans out there just waiting around for Street Fighter, and I completely underestimated that. And maybe that's a fighting game thing. Maybe a lot of other fighting game players thought exactly the same thing. They're like, we've moved on. It's all about anime games and Guilty Gear now because that's what's hot in the inner crowd, and we totally forgot about that latent fan base just waiting.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Big time. And I bet the developers do too. I bet the developers kind of forget about that, and they're like, hey, we gotta take some ideas from these other games that are popping in the scene, and they're forgetting what their wide stream appeal could potentially be, maybe.
Absolutely. And again, like, one of the things about fighting games, and I guess for me personally, this was kind of a positive, right? Because I didn't really appreciate where gaming was going for a long time, and in some ways still don't, but at least at this point, gaming has become more of a, I guess you call it more of a splintered landscape where you can kind of just choose your own adventure to some extent.
Absolutely.
But, during like the SF4 days and things like that, like every time I played a modern fighting game in that era, right? It felt like I was playing a tarded up Dreamcast game, which, okay, to me personally, that's kind of a plus. But I totally see how that limits mass appeal to a pretty significant degree, right? I mean, I would say the only kind of
Give him a max.
right now, funnily enough, was actually Marvel 3, because that game did use an actually decent for the time graphics engine and actually looked the part of a modern game. At least certainly more than SF4 did, right? But that's just it. It's like tarded up Dreamcast games that might fly in Japan, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't really fly over here.
No.
Or most places, I would
Internationally, yeah. And I think what people forget is, and I actually was listening to a podcast about King of Fighters, the King of Fighters podcast, and they asked Ryan Hart about, okay, what pulls you into fighting games, what's important to you? And he said, the graphics are nice and everything, but I'm all about the gameplay. That's what connects me to fighting games. That's what I connect with. But I was like, that's Ryan's feelings personally. But I was like, that is the incorrect answer. I feel like with most people, with most gamers, they actually judge not just the appeal of the game by the graphics. They actually judge the quality of the design on the graphics, because to the average gamer, strong, well-made graphics signal quality, care, professionalism. So if you make a fighting game like,
for real,
like, even though it has awesome mechanics and awesome ideas and is forward-thinking in a lot of ways, for fighting game fans, the average person looks at that game and they're like, oh, this is an indie that's probably a wannabe Street Fighter, because it doesn't present itself as like made by a high production team, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with that, but I think there's another aspect of that, or I guess another side of that coin these days, is that in general, anime is actually pretty mainstream. It's actually pretty popular. Yeah. So that in and of itself may not be as much of a problem as it once was. Maybe it's like the proper anime, like DBZ style anime that people can connect with more broadly, maybe. Versus like a Melty Blood, which is a little bit more like niche Japanese style.
Alright, this hit detection is pathetic.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I do agree. And again, we even contacted this earlier. Fighting games used to sell consoles. Like, they used to be some of the biggest drivers of hardware sales. Like, I personally, right? I played games before this game came out, right? But if I had to really pin it down, and even before I played fighting games, I probably would have given you this answer. If I had to really pin down the moment where I was like, okay, I'm a gamer for life now, it was playing Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. Like, straight up. Like,
Soul Calibur.
That's one of those things, if you were there, like, I still remember where I was, the room I was in, who I was with, everything. The moment I first played that game, there was nothing else like it at the time, visually. It was, absolutely nothing else even in the same stratosphere, even on PC, because PC gaming wasn't really what it became later on at that point. It was insane just to witness it. And like, obviously, I didn't have the wherewithal to like test the game as like a fighting game, right? But it felt good to play too. And like, it didn't have input lag, right? Like, and even as a kid, if it's bad enough, you'll notice it, right? Like, and I think for some of these games these days, you'll notice it. Yeah. And that's just it. It looked great. It felt good just to play, just to do stuff without really having, like a visceral approach to the game. You could still just pick it up and play it and have fun. And like, there is still value in it, right? Even with the games that we have now that are trying to vie for spots at Evo and all this other stuff, there is still room for that square one, first interaction with fighting games, and that needs to be accounted for, I think. And I think it's almost a type of hubris on the developer's part to be like, we don't need that anymore, right?
Yeah,
you guys will just accept whatever
legacy.
It is that we give you.
Yeah, legacy. Yeah, those fighting games in that era were hungry because, one, they probably actually did make money. So they're like,
they did make money back then.
Yeah. So back then they took them a lot more seriously in terms of graphical presentation and stuff like that. I feel like Namco kind of still get it though, because all my complaints about Tekken 7 with some of the system changes, you can tell Namco are like, we're gonna make this game look as good as possible. We're going all in on this. And I think that actually helped Tekken 7 a lot too, because when Tekken 7 came out, it did look pretty solid. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, visually it was one of the better fighting games for sure.
Yeah. Well, awesome, because now we're gonna talk about the tournament. Well, that's cool. I'll retitle this podcast a bit to be like our state on fighting games generally, and then also EVO 2023. So let's start off talking Melty Blood, because that's first on my itinerary here. So like I said earlier, I was quite shocked Melty Blood got in a second year. I don't know how they pulled that off, to be honest. But they did. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Persona 4 in that I remember, weren't there quite a few years where Persona 4 was in there? And we're kind of like, how is Persona 4 in here? But here it is.
Yeah, fucked it up.
How Melty Blood got in the second year, because I was quite certain it was a one and done type of affair.
No! Where am I from my leads?
Probably had an ear on the ground and knew that there was still a lot of interest in this game and that it would be worth having for that alone, right? I don't know. I mean, did Arxis publish it or not? Because they published a couple of those games.
Yes,
yeah.
That's why I wonder if it was almost like kind of a package deal. Like,
that could be it. That could be it.
like, or do you think? Here's an interesting question. Could it be that there aren't many viable alternatives to Melty Blood outside the games that are listed? Like, could you think of a viable alternative to it? And like, let's
as far as current fighting games,
yes,
no,
current active fighting games. Like, could it be as simple as like maybe we're underestimating? There's only 8, so there's 8 slots. Is there a 9th game out there somewhere that would be a more viable candidate? Because it could be simple as like they're like, okay, we got 8 games. What's the 8th game? What do we put in here?
As far as modern like on the market fighting games, no, I don't think there is a viable alternative to it.
Right, because it wouldn't be Blaze Blue. That might cut into. I mean, it's just so Arx is heavy already. So like,
yeah.
And then what about Eunice? That would be the other one. But isn't Melty Blood more active than Eunice?
It's more active than Eunice. Of course, they did announce today Under Night 2, so that game is getting another shot at life.
Sorry,
right.
Melty Blood.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think part of the reason why, because I know Under Night has a very dedicated player base. I mean, insanely dedicated. One of the most dedicated out there.
Is it connected to the Melty Blood guys or Melty Blood folks at all?
It
I
is.
kind of feel like they must be, but maybe I'm wrong.
It is, but I wouldn't say there's actually a huge amount of overlap. Just enough to notice, pretty much.
Right.
Honestly, though, probably the biggest problem with Under Night, I'm going to sound like a broken record tonight, doesn't have rollback.
Really?
No, does not have rollback.
That's crazy.
Now, Under Night 2, they haven't said anything yet. It better.
They're gonna
It better.
I feel like
because if it doesn't,
I feel like the one thing that indie-ish smaller fighting games had going for them was they adopted net rollback faster than like the bigger ones that I can remember, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Melty
I would say generally speaking. Yeah, generally speaking, that's true because those were community-driven efforts.
Yeah. Like let's do it. You know, the red tape was not involved.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I wasn't that surprised at Melty being on here. It's just again, obviously it's not going to be the most entered game by a long shot, but it has a big enough following that I could see it honestly.
I guess I just underestimated. I don't know.
Radiator.com.
I battle all those, lasted 1, and then they're gone. So I just assumed Melty Blood would live a similar fate. But surprisingly, this may sound bad, but I was actually quite surprised it sold 400,000 copies. I mean, that's not a lot, but by Melty Blood standards, I bet that's like a home run, right?
Yeah, it's not a lot, but it's not like a small number either. It's like considering what little marketing. I mean, I didn't see very much marketing for the game, honestly. Not that I was looking for it, but I wasn't looking for SF6 marketing, and I found it. So
yeah.
Considering how little they probably put into the marketing, that's probably fine. They probably broke even, maybe even made some money.
Oh, I bet compared to Actress again, I bet these sales blow that game. I should have looked it up, but I assume it destroys it.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't know offhand, but yeah, probably.
Yeah. So Melty Blood, do you know anything about like the competitive scene or meta of this game?
Most of my knowledge of the community is from the older versions because I did kind of dabble in Melty Blood a little bit back in the day. I'll say that it definitely attracts like a very specific demographic, generally speaking. Like back in the day, these are the people who would have been entering AnimeCon tournaments, right? Not really going to Evo.
You mentioned that is I feel like one of the strongest crossovers with Melty Blood is shmups, where a lot of like if you go into a shmup chat, well, like the Toho players specifically, like Toho players really seem to like Melty Blood, and maybe because it's like very close to those Toho fighting games for all I know. But yeah, so I feel like that is kind of an overlap between Toho players and the Melty Blood players. I could see that being a really natural fit, especially Actors again looks like a Toho game when you look at it. You're like, oh, this looks like Toho, and it's got sick music like Toho too. So.
Well, Melty also has the benefit of being able to run on, your grandma's laptop. So,
like
you can really, yes, exactly. So, if you're like, in my head, right, I'm envisioning like as a, market, like a marketer, right? It's like early 20s, college student.
Yes.
works part-time, if at all. Just
he's sitting in between classes, bored out of his mind. So he's gonna play, but he's got a laptop. So he's gonna on keyboard. He's gonna play Toho and he's gonna play Melty Blood.
Yes, exactly.
That's such a good fit. Yeah.
And changing gears a little bit, but still on the topic of Melty, if I had to give a most improved game
Um.
to any game on this list, it's gotta be Type Lumina. Because that game actually,
Because I would just, what's funny is I actually find myself preferring Actress Again over Type Lumina, because yes, Actress Again is definitely more homebrew looking, but I just like, to me it has a bit more of a textured look to it, and I think it has a better soundtrack. Like
that's all fair.
The thing about like Type Lumina that I think is a little bit tricky for this game is it's definitely an improvement in visuals, but in that improvement I think it's a little too amateur professional. Do you know what I mean? Like that jump from like homebrew kind of janky but
it's
kind of homey cool of Actress Again to like amateur professional.
It's not the Cal art style, but it's the closest approximation anime might be able to get to the Cal art style.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's
I kind of get that.
yeah, it's like amateur professional, but it kind of loses that homey charm of like, oh, this dude made Actors Again in his basement, and isn't that sick?
Right.
So I kind of actually prefer Actors Again visually, even though like technically, obviously, Type Lumina is much more professional. But I think like maybe if Type Lumina could go that little extra mile of being a little bit more close to Guilty Gear X quality visuals, maybe somewhere in there.
So when I said most of
How many arms does he have?
Melty Bloods, I actually meant compared to itself.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I just with your point.
No. Honestly, that was a fine point in its own right, and I don't really disagree with it. But what I was really referring to was on launch, Type Lumina was
Yeah, no legs though.
designed. Yeah.
I was like, no.
No, you were well within your rights to. I mean, it was Shield Simulator when it came out, and I mean everyone agreed. I mean, even the best players were like, yeah, you just gamble on Shield. That's the game. But seeing where it's ended up now with the subsequent updates, it's so much more solid. And I don't want to say like this is the most important thing, but it is probably a selling point to some people. It's much more in the vein of the older Melty games.
I think that's the proper direction, because the whole point of Type Lumina, in my opinion, would be not to change the series, but to present the series to a wider audience. So you want to retain the series, but you just want to present it more palatably to a wider audience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think with the state the game's in now mechanically, that's a fair representation, I think, of what the game is.
Yeah. So now I might actually play it again, because I was watching match voters. I'm like, oh shit, they did update this a lot. There's like more characters, there's more background.
Yeah.
It looks more polished than on launch. Yeah, on launch I felt a little like, oh, I regret buying this for $60. Yeah. Well then, up next, I wanted to keep the anime theme going.
No, you came out so quick. I thought that was it.
It today had 365 active players on Steam, so that's pretty close. Entrance to Steam people. In fact, higher entrance than Steam people, which is quite unusual. And then 500,000 copies sold. I think the Melty Blood guys are quite happy with the way it's going. It's in Evo a second year. I think it's worked out pretty well for Melty Blood so far.
Yeah,
as far as who's going to win the tournament, I have no clue. Could we identify a region? Do you know the regions? Like, who are the strong regions for this game?
For Melty, I mean, historically, Japan, of course, has been the best, if not very close to the best. In the U.S., I would say it's hard to say, honestly, and a part of me says given to the bias, and a part of me says doesn't. But I will say that both California and New York have had a good showing in Melty Blood over the years. It's somewhat popular in South America, from what I know. I don't really know very much about.
That also makes sense too, because of the low spec requirements. Because one thing I know the South American scene, to some degree, I've talked to South American players a lot. Like, you'd be surprised how important that is to South American players, because they don't have access to modern PCs as easily. They don't have access to graphics cards as easily. Like, there's a lot of smart players out there who's, they can't access that stuff. So I could see it, like Actors Again being accessible on that hardware, being a really big point for it in South America.
Yeah. Besides that, I'm honestly not sure. I mean, I'm sure there's players in Europe. I just couldn't really tell you where. As far as the rest of Asia outside of Japan, that's a big old question mark for me. Yeah, again, I'm sure there's some, but I couldn't really tell you.
Yeah, so I am going to play it safe here and say that there will be a Japanese victory in Melty Blood.
It's probably going to be mostly a Japanese top 8. There'll probably be an American or two, and maybe someone from South America as well. But,
I actually see America being quite strong in this game too, because of its sort of homebrew nature. I don't know why. I can see American players picking up on that. Like you said, I could absolutely see kids in California being like, dude, this is sick. So I'm gonna go with the Japan pick, and up next, DBZ Fighters. You seem to know quite a bit about DBZ Fighters as far as the scene and everything. So to go over the stats, 838 entrants. What do you think about that entry number? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, honestly, that is about right, because it's like I was saying earlier, they're a pretty insular community. There's not really all that much crossover with any other game. Not saying that like none of them play any other games, but like it's not like with some players. That is a little bit of a different subject, I think. If you're talking about like the people who win most consistently, though, I'll be honest, I haven't been following it so much in the most recent years, so that could also have changed. Right. But from what I remember, it was actually, believe it or not, Goichi, the Melty Blood player, who came out as one of the stronger DBZ players when that game first came out.
Because I could see like what I could see happening is kind of like, okay, I'm really good at Melty Blood, I'm really good at Eunice, but I actually want to win some money here, so let's play DBZ. I could see that being an idea.
Honestly, as far as just the entrants are concerned, it is about right, because it doesn't have major crossover with other games for the most part, and even if some of the top players do come from other games, strictly speaking, overall it really is just kind of its own pocket of the community. It doesn't really, especially with other Arxis games, there's not very much crossover, and the people who like Dragon Ball FighterZ tend to really just like Dragon Ball FighterZ. They don't really tend to go into many other games.
And I wonder if part of that is because it's pulling these mechanics from these Namco 3D fighter games that are not from Guilty Gear, and they're not from other Arxis games, so they're like, maybe they're a little bit more attached to these mechanics than they are to the Arxis mechanics. That, again, maybe that's my theory.
I mean, I think it's a fair point, honestly. I mean, it's hard to say for sure without actually asking, but I think there's merit to it. Like, it's definitely not like an Arxis game, right? And if anything, probably the biggest strike against it in terms of acceptance among the broader community, in the US at least, it's actually not even all that much like Marvel. And I know people kind of, people kind of like to lump it in with Marvel, but if anything, you know, the Marvel players were very adamant about, no, this is not the same type of game.
Yeah, I think it had great Marvel marketing, maybe, but maybe that's as far as it goes. Kind of recalling what we're saying about where you can't just take a mechanic, stick it in another game, and now it's Marvel. Right? Okay, so online.
That pool.
1,557, which I would say is a healthy number of online players for a game. So this thing is still kicking. It's getting good entry numbers. It's getting good online numbers. And then the units sold 10 million copies of DBZ Fighters. There is celebrations currently happening at Arc System Works. They're like, we can make Guilty Gear forever. We did it. 10 million copies of this game. I do wonder how much of that has to go to what's their name? The DBZ company. I can't remember.
Oh, Toei?
Yeah, I wonder how much of that has to go to Toei. What do you think?
That's a good question.
Yeah, do you think Toei?
They're pretty stingy in general.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Toei's taking a deep cut of that profit. But still.
Yeah, and it's published by Namco, so who knows how much Arcs is actually making away with there.
Arcs might be face palming for all of it, but
yeah,
that massive commercial success, probably the biggest commercial success of Arcs, I would imagine. I can't think of anything that would get.
I actually haven't checked on this, and so when Grand Blue Versus was announced, right? My immediate thought was this will outsell Dragon Ball in Japan. In Japan, I truly thought that would be the case. Of course, the game came out in March of 2020. Yes. So
great time.
Really just immaculate timing there. So I don't know how much that's actually. I honestly don't know the sales numbers for that game at all.
You keep speaking, and I'll find them. You talk.
If there is
the way they pop,
it's probably Grand Blue, if I had to guess. But as far as Dragon Ball Fighters and the community goes, again, not very surprising to see.
That was really good.
It is getting kind of long in the tooth, despite getting a lot of updates. That game has seen a lot of updates throughout its life. You have to remember, it first came out in 2017. That's 6 years ago now. So
that is crazy.
Yeah. So I think the pushing 1,000 mark for entrance is about right. The active player, honestly, the active players on Steam comes as a bit of a surprise. But then I also remembered that the game, I think if it doesn't have rollback already, it's getting it pretty soon.
And so also, I wonder how many of those guys are playing casually. They're not playing competitively.
Good question. I'd imagine probably a good portion, but I guess the question at the end of the day is, does that really matter so much? Because it's a bit of a leap here, but let's say all of the good players are at Evo, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 800, let's call it 850 good players, and let's call it 1,600 scrubs, that's a 1/3 ratio, right?
That's true.
Like 1/3 of your community is actually good at the game. So doesn't sound so bad to me, honestly.
I hate to break your heart. Wait,
okay.
Is it Grand Blue Fantasy Versus?
Yes. Yeah, that's the game.
Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, all versions, sold 500,000 copies.
Wow.
So they got wrecked compared to
it got wrecked. Yeah, it got absolutely wrecked. But to be honest with you, I think
that's pretty good for an Arc System, though. I mean, prior to Strive, that's pretty solid for an Arc System.
Ah!
Yeah. I expected it to also drive the players in Japan.
Why did I get stuck?
But who knows even
Why does that happen? Wow, this game is so bum. Alright, I'll play one more.
Other scenes wanting to be like, okay, let's make some money here. So I'm gonna enter.
Did not mean to play this long, but this is kind of
these days, I don't know what the prize money's even looking like for this game.
addictive, huh?
Because who would front it? It would be Arxis, right?
Or well, maybe Namco. It might be Namco.
I could see that.
They did run an invitational series for this game. It had a very fitting name, like the Summit of Power or something like that.
Nice.
But I think that was ran by Namco. I think they actually used some of the Tekken World Tour people for that.
Yeah. So weird. Namco getting into the anime scene. It is weird how these developers are crossing over more and more, it feels like.
Well, it's weird in a sense if you remember when they were like at each other's throats back in the day, but
yeah.
These days
you can't jump over crawlers in this game. Galactic was right. I'll have to do a real proper attempt.
Especially if you know that there's something that your development studio is not quite up to snuff on, it makes so much sense to just outsource to another developer.
Right, yeah. That is interesting. Okay, so any picks or any players you're aware of? I promise, chat, we'll know more about these games as we go. DBZ Fighters, I'm gonna go with Goichi because I feel like the guy probably wants to get paid, and so he probably has been practicing.
If he entered, then yeah.
And if I even know, and he's also the only player I know besides like Sonic Fox, and I'm sure Sonic's got other things to do.
Yeah, honestly, it's a game that I did follow early on, and I just kind of lost interest in it over time. So who knows? Maybe the players of today are completely different from the people who are playing.
That tends to be what happens in the lifespan of the game, right? Like as the game goes on, those like figurehead players that you recognize start to drift off to other games, and then the specialist players hang in there to the big.
Yeah. That's about right.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, as far as I could honestly say in good faith, US might win in terms of region. Yeah, I think US might win Dragon Ball because even though it does have a decent scene in Japan, I think a lot of the stronger players have just moved on at this point.
Right. That's pretty cool though. I'm always happy if the US gets a victory. All right, now this one I'm counting on you to know about.
Speaking of games that the US typically wins.
Yes. It's America's baby, America's pride, Evo's love child. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Let's go over the stats real quick. We got 1,300 entrants, which is absurd, to be honest.
That's really good.
That's silly. I wonder, do you think, now it sounds cool to say like the Marvel guys, they're just, they're waiting. They've been waiting in the rooms all these years and then they come out? Or do you think this is bleed over from SF6, where they're like, I guess I'll enter Marvel, why not? I played it one time at my cousin's house. Do you think it's a crossover audience, or do you think these are Marvel players coming out of the woodwork, coming back?
These are players. These are Marvel players.
They're back.
If you play Marvel, you are a fanatic. So a couple years ago, I used to go up to Super Arcade. It was in Azusa. It was ran by Mike Watson, the old school Street Fighter player.
I listen to ATP Live religiously, so I hear the whole saga of that arcade.
There you go.
In detail.
So I used to go up there mostly to play Plus R, although I actually got to play Watson now too. That was a lot of fun. I remember though, we would stay pretty late playing Plus R, right? Playing casuals after the tournament. There was one group of people who stayed later. That was the Marvel 2 players. The Marvel 2 players, they had like the keys to the venue, I'm pretty sure. They ended up closing it at like 5 in the morning or whatever.
Well, here's an interesting, I'm really glad you brought up Marvel 2, because my first thought, my first like gut reaction was, interesting that it's Marvel 3. Because over all these years, over and over again, I've heard the Marvel players say, yeah, but I really miss Marvel 2. Oh, you remember Marvel 2? Hey, we love Marvel 2. Like, this seems like, if you're going to bring back a legacy Marvel, I was curious why they didn't go with Marvel 2 versus Marvel 3. Any insight?
So, Marvel 3 does have more players overall, I'm going to say. Like, I don't know for sure, like, take it to the bank, but I'm
Just need a max. A
overall
bomb.
played Marvel 3 than Marvel 2. And that, as a result, there'd be more active players to it. There's also the consideration of, Marvel 3 does have good ports on relatively modern consoles, whereas with Marvel 2, there's the PS3 version, which it works, but people acknowledge that it's not perfect, and they definitely don't want to be whipping out the Dreamcast on the main stage right now.
So when you were at Super Arcade, were they playing it on cabinets, or were they playing it on Dreamcasts or something?
Both. They had a cabinet.
What?
Yeah.
I heard the last barrier coming down.
Most games are ported to
Alright, I want to try FTG.
Do you think that's it? Because, so is Marvel 2, is this kind of like, okay, it's done, kids?
No, I can say it's done. I think the people who did play that game, like, it's never gonna leave. It's like riding a bike for them. And in the pre-SF4 era, that was the biggest game.
Yes, exactly. And I remember hearing all the Marvel 3 players being like, man, just if we could play Marvel 2 again.
So, I mean, and there's some merit to that, right? I mean, Marvel 2 is definitely a more difficult game just to get into, for sure. But, like, the way I put it to people who tell me, oh, I want to play Marvel 2, I go, okay, you need to be honest with yourself here. Are you going to play this game all the time? The answer to this question is no. Just play Marvel 3.
Right.
It is 75%.
I don't know how to play this version of this map.
Matters, right? But if you just want to play a Marvel game,
right,
you can do a lot worse than Marvel 3.
It hits that kind of sweet spot.
Yeah. And it's definitely a lot easier to just jump into. Yep.
What are your feelings about Marvel 3 being at the tournament? Are you doing handstands? Do you care? Me, I'm a little bit. I'm not a big Marvel guy myself personally. I thought it was kind of amusing to see it return.
So this is where I share my I won't call this a hot take. It's just not something I've really heard anyone else say. I think there should be a Marvel game on the main stage of Evo every single year. I think every single year there should be a Marvel game. So I have three main reasons.
Okay.
For starters, I think, and I think a lot of people would agree, the biggest spectacle in fighting games has got to be Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't think there's any other game
people
that
go
really
crazy for it. There's no denying that. When Marvel is like a famous thing, they go crazy for it.
And even like on the other side of that coin, I think as a casual observer who knows next to nothing about fighting games, I think it's actually easier to watch and follow Marvel than most other fighting games. When you see a beam,
I've struggled with it myself personally. Other than going, oh, hype.
So here's the thing. This is why I say this, right? When you see a beam traverse the whole horizontal span of the screen in a Marvel game, right?
You're speaking.
There you go. When you see a beam going across the screen in a Marvel game, as someone who knows nothing,
where are the guns?
You do know something is happening.
Is there no guns? Is it just Nate?
If you don't know anything about fighting,
what?
Street Fighter, and you see two people walking back and forth.
Where are the guns?
Like, what are they doing?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So between the appeal as a spectator sport for people who love fighting games or love Marvel, one of the two or both, and its appeal to just have a casual viewing audience be able to grasp it better than I think probably on almost any other fighting game. That's one big point in its favor. Another big point in its favor is the name, Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
Why not Marvel Infinite? Now I'm just being a troll. Why not Marvel Infinite?
Well, because we need to hit a bit of a middle ground here. But I'll be honest with you, I almost feel like it doesn't even matter which Marvel at this point. Because these 3 points are almost universally applicable. So Marvel, I don't know if the movies make as much money as they did last decade, because I don't follow movies like that. But undeniably, Marvel movies made a lot of money.
It's the biggest IP in the world. There's no contention. And Marvel and Harry Potter. We got the biggest IP.
And the public perception of like Marvel's stock, not like their S&P 500. I mean, like their standing as a property. Yes, I think it's still generally quite positive, right? And if you want to talk about, I mean, think of why Marvel vs. Capcom exists to begin with, right? Because Street Fighter was a phenomenon, and because Marvel
Why is your head off?
were a phenomenon, right?
I do think though that Capcom.
You just hear them swipe behind me. It's so loud in this game.
So they're a lot more like, go ahead, Capcom, sure, do whatever you want. Versus now, you approach Marvel like, hey, can we make a Marvel game?
Pop!
They're gonna hand you a binder and a contract that's a mile long. Yeah.
I mean, that's cute, but we already got that sorted out with EA, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But honestly, again, as long as rights and all that stuff allows for, yeah, absolutely. Because of the mass appeal potential for a Marvel game, just a game with Marvel in the name, is huge.
That is true.
And then my last point, and this is a little more sentimental, but again, as someone who played fighting games in that era, I always have considered the Marvel community to be the heart and soul of the US fighting game scene.
That's
and
what it says. I would always
true.
assume it would be Street Fighter.
No, it's actually Marvel, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because during that stretch of time, right, that period where Capcom wasn't really making fighting games anymore, and you know there were still fighting games being made. That's why I kind of have issue with people calling them Dark Ages. But at the same time, right?
Fighters. Just remember that if it's a 3D fighter, it doesn't exist.
But during that stretch of time where Capcom wasn't making fighting games, Marvel 2 was consistently the biggest, if not the single biggest, it was like the second biggest game at Evo, right? And there's another aspect to this as well, which is that was the game that for a good period of time. It was the only game we beat Japan in.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean,
Just a fucking chair. Jesus, I'm not playing.
Beat them in alpha or something like that.
if I lost the Daigo in that SDG,
Okay, I mean,
but it was very close. It was very close.
Alright.
If anything, it would have been probably the Schaefer brothers, because they actually did go to SBO for Super Turbo back in the day. And there were some other players who were close to that level, or maybe a little better. But at the end of the day, we never really won Super Turbo. As far as I know, the US never won Super Turbo with you.
What
Third
about
Strike?
No alpha wins?
So it's weird. I've actually thought about this a lot.